Welcome everybody back to yet another sports podcast with the Bearded Brothers. I am Matt,
Hi, I'm Chris.
and it is good to see all of you again. See, of course, in a relative term. Um, you know,
More like
so
talk at you.
yeah, talk at you. I suppose we need to start with what is currently the story in the NFL. I don't think anybody else is talking about anything else but this. So suppose we
Pretty
should
much.
probably get started somewhere, huh?
Yeah, so I didn't see what happened. Um, I had heard what happened and I saw the aftermath, but yeah, unfortunately, one of the Bills' safety,
Damar
Hamlin,
Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin, yeah, he tackled. Apparently, he hit somebody pretty good. Hit him real hard. Had a
T.
good hit.
Higgins.
Yep, he hit T. Higgins. Got up, walked a couple steps, dropped to the floor.
Both he and T.
Um,
Higgins got up.
yeah.
T was walking back to the huddle like normal. Damar made about 3 steps and just straight to the
Yeah.
ground. Um,
The current news on that is that apparently he had suffered a cardiac arrest, basically
Myocardial
meaning his
infarction, as they
heart
say. Yeah,
his heart stopped. That's what that means. He
quite
literally died on
quite
the
literally.
field.
They restarted his heart on the field.
I think another player was giving him CPR. I think another player
They
is what kept
actually,
him
I
alive.
think at first, but they did have medics that came out very
Yeah,
quickly and gave CPR. They pulled in an ambulance. He got oxygen. I believe he was on the field a total of 16 minutes.
something like
And
that. Yeah, they
to a
tried to lift him
local.
once and they had to put him back down and pick him up again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they took him to a local hospital where he is alive and in critical condition. Um,
University of Cincinnati Medical Center's intensive care unit.
there you go. And he is in critical condition.
He's currently
There has,
sedated in critical sedated. So that, yeah,
yeah,
he's
there is
sedated.
a
But,
whole mess around this. So we should start with the negatives
well,
before we move to the
here's one thing I
positives.
will say is that um, I realize it's gonna be weird to say. Thankfully, it's only a cardiac arrest. Like I said, weird to say. I mean, what I mean to say is that it's not like a spinal injury. It's something that he can recover from as long as it wasn't out for too long.
My understanding is there was
Um,
a Stingley, not Stingley Jr., who currently plays for the Texans, may have been related to him. I believe it was in the 70s. He had
mhm.
a C spine injury, and I think he died on the field.
Technically, didn't die on the field.
Yeah, they moved him off the field.
No one technically has died on the field.
He
Yeah,
died from his injuries,
yeah,
sustained in that collision, and it was pretty traumatic.
yeah.
Um, there have been some very bad things to happen on that particular field for some odd reason. AB, Shazier,
Yeah.
now Hamlin, and there was someone else too. Tua.
Yeah, too. Yeah.
All sorts of bad things have happened on that field, and I don't understand it. But I suppose we should get to some of the more negatives first, which is, of course, the tweet. Uh,
Which one?
the tweet. I will read it because it is here. I did snapshot it. And I'm going to probably take a surprising stance on this. Just because it is what it is, and I'm not going to sit here and try and. All right. From Real Skip Bayless.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. Um, so a lot of people misunderstood this and called him a ghoul, and they were very angry about it. I think that last part qualifies everything he was trying to say.
Well, he's not wrong, right? Like if you legitimately follow the thought process of what he's saying, is it is late in the season. It's going to be hard to reschedule it and make it fit somewhere. It does have playoff implications. There is a lot of factors that I mean, it is important. He's right. It is important, but at the same time, like he said at the very end, even though that is all true, it seems so small in significance to what has already
Now, there are
transpired.
a lot of people who are very upset about what he tweeted, but I think it's because they misunderstood the context.
Yeah.
Or they misunderstood what he was saying, and could he have said what he said better? Absolutely. Um, I think the end could be taken a different way. Um, but I honestly took it as the whole thing seems small and irrelevant in the terms of what's just
Yeah.
happened. All those other questions that people are going to have, they're pointless now.
Basically, the way I saw it is he basically was saying these are important factors. These are important things. These things are significantly less important than what just happened. Um, and so it's far more vital to take care of what's currently happened than the other things that may be considered
He
important,
tried to
but
clarify it in a
not,
subsequent tweet, but
yeah,
everybody jumped down his throat about it. A lot of people are still really angry about it. Apparently, there was a kerfluffle or something between him and Shannon about this, and Shannon did not show up to the studio to record Undisputed. It was just Skip. The Fox people asked him to clarify what he said. Um, Now, I'm going to say something because I said it to somebody else. Look, guys, stop the hate. We've got a guy in the
yeah,
hospital right now. We have a major problem. And you're using a gentleman who's in the hospital with a heart attack to try to take away a living from another human being. Just stop.
yeah.
Stop
Like,
using people as bludgeons. I've said it before because I'm a combat veteran. I have VA disability. I'll share that here. And I'm not trying to equate, but I always hear, oh, we need to take care of veterans before we take care of insert group here. But you're not going to do that. You never do. It's a talking point, and you're using disabled veterans as a bludgeon to get what you want. Stop it. Just stop. It's horrible. It's something you guys are doing, and in this case, you're using Damar Hamlin and his situation to try to beat down on Skip Bayless. Stop. You're using another human being as a bludgeoning stick. That's enough. Done.
yeah,
Stop.
yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't love Skip Bayless. I do watch their content on occasion, but like, what he said isn't really that. Like, it's not controversial. It's not incorrect. Though, if you follow word for word what he actually said, there was nothing wrong with it. And on top of that, I think people just don't like Skip because he's on purpose a controversial figure.
Absolutely, but be
So,
angry at him. Be angry at him
for people to
for
jump, yeah,
the right reasons.
yeah, I
Stop.
was gonna say to jump down his throat over something like this is not like he can take the hate. He's the type of person that's used to that. But this is new. This is different. This is
And it's
like
also
you guys are like basic. Like I've heard like potential death threats at this point, which is ridiculous. Fucking
it's also
ridiculous.
disingenuous as shit.
Yeah.
Stop. Just stop. Um, okay, so now that we're kind of done with that, they have said I haven't heard a tweet from Mr. Sharp yet, but as he calls himself Unk, I would assume Skip has said they've worked something out and he's going to be back tomorrow. I assume he'll have and state his viewpoints on what happened. And you know what?
I think out
More
of the
power.
two, I hate Shannon the most. I think he's the most hypocritical person that's I've ever met, or well, not really met, but I've ever witnessed. I should say.
It depends.
I
I
I
get
hate
where
him.
you're coming from. I don't hate him, but I do think he can be hypocritical at times. I
Oh,
do think that he gets angry at other people for shit that he does do. Um,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I hate it. Like I hate that hypocrisy he pulls. Like I just dislike it.
um,
And that's why I say I hate him because those types of people are in my opinion some of the worst.
but I could also understand it from a certain standpoint. So if I had a parent who smoked or drank their whole life and they don't want me to smoke or drink, um, if I was the parent, I totally understand because this has screwed up my life and I've spent way more money on it than I need to. I'm going
Yeah,
to
but have
tell
you
you from
actively tried? Yeah, but if you haven't actively tried to stop yourself and you are telling the other person you are being a hypocrite, that's still terrible. That's still a bad parent.
yeah, oh,
Like,
absolutely. But I'd rather be called a hypocrite and stop my kid from doing it, even though I can't stop myself, because I know that I'm a bad person and they don't
well,
need to be like
then
me.
then you'll also know that unfortunately you taking it away from him isn't gonna make him stop.
No, I know, but the point is, I would much rather be a hypocrite for that reason. Or
I think there are better. I think there are better ways to handle those
there is,
situations.
or
Is
if
what
I
I'm
have
saying.
stopped because I went through all of that and I stopped and I turned myself around, I can share my experience.
Well,
with
then at
that.
that point, you're not being a hypocrite. You're saying like, yeah, I used to do it, but I don't think it's a good idea, and I think it's bad. You've
Yeah,
you've reformed yourself. That's
yeah.
different.
So let's get on to the neutral news, which is the NFL has put out around this. the game, the game was postponed. They do not know when they are going to replay the game.
So the newest news that just came out, I noticed just a couple minutes before we started, is that it is not going to be rescheduled for this week.
That's what I was going to drive at. Yes, yeah. I saw that as well. It's not going to be this week. I don't know when they're going to replay it.
It's got to be some.
Nobody does.
Next week, obviously. Next Monday, maybe. I don't know.
This has playoff implications. Somebody was saying maybe the Bills should just forfeit their last 2 games, and my response to that is that's horrible. You can't do that call. Because it doesn't affect just the Bills. No. It would also affect the Steelers and the Dolphins because then you're automatically allowing the Patriots to make the playoffs without even a hint of how do you, as another team who wasn't involved in this. I mean, now you're affecting all sorts of other things. No, you have to. If you want to say the Bills forfeit this game, that's perfectly acceptable. Give the Bengals the win. Bills forfeit. It happens. Move to next week. Got it. But they can't forfeit.
They could, but I don't think they will.
No, I think they will restart it at some point. Not restart, but jump back in at some point. They may even restart, but I doubt that. They'll probably let the stats.
Because of the scores, they'll leave it as what.
Yeah, they'll start the game at however much was left in the first quarter to go, and then go from there. Wherever they were on the downs and everything else. I think that's the proper thing to do.
Agreed.
So, and then we should get to the positive news out of all of this, because there is one good piece of positive news, and that is Damar Hamlin's charity toy drive has earned over $4 million since this happened, which his family is incredibly thankful for. Really helps out the impoverished, helps out the people who, the kids who don't have the ability to have toys, etc., etc., etc. I think right. that people showing up and doing that is a really, really good thing. I'm very, it gives you the faith in humanity moment.
Right.
So I'm kind of happy about that. Okay, now that we've covered that, is there any other news you want to cover? Because I didn't see anything else worth covering. I mean, outside of the Payton speculation. Because there's apparently a new contender in that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's worth really talking about, though.
I just wanted to point out, if anybody wonders what I'm talking about, one of the betting odds is now Arizona has the best odds of landing him, because apparently Kingsbury is going to walk away at the end of the season of his own accord.
Supposedly. Those are rumors, though.
Yeah, and that's rumors. I somehow have my doubts.
Well, even if it was true, I still don't understand the odds favoring the Cardinals. Like, if I was Sean Payton, I would not want to go to that fucking organization. Like,
no, definitely not.
Like,
no.
If I have the option to go to some of these other places, I would definitely take them.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I'm looking at, Carolina or Denver or...
Yeah, Denver would be big. Yeah,
Denver
would be
a big one for him. That's a big optic place, very major city. You've got a lot of good pieces there already.
Yeah.
You can fix Russ. So the last little bit of news that I think is worth talking about, perhaps, and debating just a touch, is the Jets management have come out and said they are not going to seek to trade Zach Wilson in the offseason.
No, which I'm not really that surprised by, to be honest with you. They still want to give the kid, like, Saleh has made it clear he still wants to give the kid an opportunity. And the thing is, Zach has, I think everyone has looked at his tape and has seen that he has the talent. He just needs to somehow make it work. What it is that's holding him back, I don't know. But there's obviously something that isn't clicking. But they know his talent. They know what he can do. They just want to try to bring it out of him. So, is he going to start next season? Probably not. Unless they absolutely need him to. Or unless he has a big off season. Who knows? Maybe he just has the most aggressive off season ever and becomes, really, really good. I don't know.
Well,
But I think they're looking at what happened with Darnold, and they don't want to make that same mistake. Darnold's looking good all of a sudden in a new system, and maybe they're like, well, maybe if we would have just given him more time to develop, maybe he would have been fine. But
well, and here's the other thing
you know,
that I kind of wanted to say and bring out at this point, because I think it's worth noting. Um, at this point in his career, what are they going to get for him? And
yeah,
so you're going to go to a new team and have him learn a new system, and they're going to have to what, evaluate him now. You
yeah.
get one season to evaluate him before you decide whether or not you want to pick up his fifth year option. I don't think that's enough time, so I don't think there's a single team that's going to take him. That's what I really think it boils down to right now. I just don't think it's worth that issue. I would suspect there might be a coordinator change in the offseason, but
Maybe.
that's
I
just
mean,
me.
the thing is, I don't think there will be, and the reason why is because every other QB in that system has made success.
And
Every other QB they've had.
that's a
So I don't
good
think there's a
that's a
I don't
good
think there's a
point.
reason for a coordinator change.
That's a good point, but it's not
Unless
about.
unless they want unless they want to try to force Zach Wilson into working, I see no reason to do a
And that's
coordinator
what I think
change.
they're going to be looking at. I think also what hurt Wilson this year was at the beginning of the season, while he didn't look great, they had a really good running game. And then that went out the window when their stud rookie running back got hurt. And they had to
That's true.
put all of the offense on Zach Wilson. And that obviously he was not ready for that. And it did not work. The same thing happened to the Sanchez. Um, they got rid of their ground and pound game. They let both the running backs walk, or they let one of them walk, and they tried to let Sanchez throw more and trust him more with the offensive keys. They are a run first team with a pop gun passing offense, and that is perfectly acceptable. Zach has a big arm, but you don't need to be having him look to make intricate throws at this stage of his career.
Yeah.
Allowing the run game to be a run and then utilize a play action offense is probably right up his alley. But when you lost that ability, Zach regressed horribly, and it looked bad. And you do have to look at Vera Tucker's been out, and you lost Mekhi Becton, and George Fant was out for a while, and how well are you going to do when you don't have key pieces of your offensive line? And I think he has a chance to do better next year. And
Yeah, I
what I
mean,
meant by the
I don't.
offensive coordinator isn't that his system doesn't work; it's that it looks outside fishbowl looking in. Um, the his he's not mentoring. He's not able to bring along Wilson as a QB. Both Mike White, Joe Flacco, and even Steveler have experience already in the NFL. They've already been in the
Mike White came the same time Zach Wilson did.
no, but
So the same.
he's been in the NFL for like 4 or 5 years.
No,
I swear it. I swear
I
he's older and has been around longer.
I don't think he's that. I don't think he's that old. I think he came like. I thought it was the exact same year. I'm fairly positive they're the same age.
You could be right. I could be. No, he's 27 years old.
Really. I could have sworn I remember somebody telling me that he was younger than that.
He was selected in the 2018 NFL Draft by the Cowboys, for Christ's sakes.
Somebody told me he was younger than that. Weird.
Yeah, he was selected in 2018.
Excuse me.
So he's been around for a while. He hasn't really gotten starters, but at least he understands a locker room and he understands the pressures of being a professional player, etc. You know what I'm saying? You're just absolutely stumped by that, aren't you?
I'm just looking at his stats. just weird.
They're not. They're not.
Nobody even gave him a chance to even play until the Jets in 2021.
You're exactly right. But sometimes working on the practice squad and sitting down on the sidelines and being in the locker rooms without having
Just
to worry
weird.
about a playbook and everything else, that can mature a quarterback.
Possible.
I'm not saying one
Hey.
way or the other, but I'm going to say that it's possible he had other mentors, other places that helped him out prior to the new offensive coordinator and Robert Saleh and all of them coming in. It's very obvious that he took something away from somewhere that Zach has not. So I don't know where to lay the blame, and I don't want to lay it entirely on Robert Saleh because his defensive prospects, as Saleh is a defensive-minded coach, have been absolutely amazing. Sauce Gardner has come leaps and bounds along the way. Most of that defense has gone just absolutely ape, and they are really good. So, I don't know what else to say at this point about it. I hope Zach gets it right. I think the kid deserves a shot, and I hope he gets it.
Who knows? We'll see.
Bird being annoying again?
No, a little bit, but just beta jerk like he always is.
Okay.
I don't know. I have no real feelings on Zach outside of I ultimately don't think he'll be a success in the NFL, but that's just me. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. He just looks like another one of those kids that's just got a great arm but can never really mature it into anything.
That very well could be unless he figures it out, which is entirely possible.
It happens less often than normal, so I mean, obviously, you look at how many QBs get drafted and how many actually stick around. Like,
well, and then sometimes they go
odds
away.
dictate it ain't great.
Well, and then sometimes they go away, they disappear for a while, and then they come back years later and actually have like 5 or 6 good years when they're like 29 or 30, right at the end of their career. They actually.
That's also not typical either.
No, it isn't. But we're gonna bring one up later. that I think is worth it. Okay, so we've done that. Where do we want to go? Do we want to do the review or
up to you? You're leading this time.
All right, let's do.
I'll follow you.
Let's do a review.
Okay.
I am not going to be able to pull up my sheet because I'm the one recording and screen capping all of this.
I can pull up last week. We got it.
All right, if you got what we picked last week, that's fantastic.
Oh, I don't got what we picked. I got what happened.
I think we pretty much there were some interesting ones. All right. So, now you have everything there. I have the winners and losers, obviously, already typed in there, or I should.
Yeah, I got it, yeah.
All right, so let's go over it. You've got the list.
Well, let's start with the very top of the list. We had Cardinals at Falcons. That ended up being a 19-20 victory for the Falcons. Unfortunately, I picked the Cardinals, and Matt picked the Falcons.
I just had a feeling the Cardinals have not looked good recently.
They haven't, and I feel like I said when we were doing this pick, I felt weird taking the Falcons or not taking the Falcons because I was trying to decide like, is Desmond Ridder going to be good enough to beat the Falcons?
But they've also fucked you twice in a row.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, do I do it 3 times in a row? I don't know if I can. So I went Cardinals in hopes that they would just do enough. And let's be honest, the game was close. It was kind of a shit game, let's be honest. Like, it was not an enjoyable game for most of the game.
Yeah,
so,
it was kind of garbage, man. Let's be realistic about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Not much else to say about that one, so let's move on to the next one. So the next game we have is Bear at Lions. We both chose the Lions. Yeah, they smacked the Bears 41-10.
They smacked them good.
Wasn't even close.
Jared Goff has been playing really, really. As much as I give him shit as a quarterback, he's harkening back to
he's having one of the best seasons he's had,
in a while. Yeah, because this reminds me of the season that he went to the Super Bowl. They lost, but they went, and they were really good that season. He looks like he's found whatever mojo he was missing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Lions are definitely looking strong. I'm curious to see, their next week game, and
Oh,
You know,
100%.
they might surprise people still yet. I mean, they're not quite out of it yet.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
All right, so the next game we got is Jags at Texans. We both chose Jags. Thank goodness we did, because it was a 31-3 stomp by
And
the Jags.
they pulled the starters after
Like-
the first series in the second half.
And they still smacked them. Yeah, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, no, it was bad.
This is just indicative of what I've been saying the last couple of weeks as I've been pushing the Jags up and up my power rankings. I'm telling you, I'm not crazy. These guys are good.
They're finding their stride now.
They're
I'm really
good.
impressed with it. The switch has quite obviously flipped for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
He's got it figured out.
something clicked, and it's just all on.
Yeah,
it's just all on.
Something clicked there, and it's working.
Yep. All right, next game we got Broncos at Chiefs. Both of us picked the Chiefs. It was far closer than either one of us expected.
Far closer
but the
than
Chiefs,
it should have been.
Yeah, Chiefs coming out 27-24. I think it was a field goal towards the end of the game that actually ended up with the win.
I
too.
believe so.
It was,
yes, and that's just bonkers.
It was close.
Man. Yeah,
it had no
right.
It had
being
no
that
bearing
close. Yeah,
being that close.
None. But it does make you wonder if Hackett wasn't the problem.
Well, to be fair, I did say that last week. I don't think Hackett has been the problem with the Broncos. I think that they were looking for a scapegoat, and he was a good scapegoat.
No. I mean, literally, if you're going to put up 24 points and almost beat the Chiefs, that's what I'm saying.
The Chiefs weren't playing that hard. The Chiefs already knew they had playoffs. They didn't.
Then that's entirely possible. But I also did notice that Russell Wilson finally found his legs again.
He started playing better. We'll see if that continues, or if if the Chiefs let off the gas a little bit because they didn't want to hurt anybody.
Or was this just a flash in the pan?
Yeah, which we've seen the Broncos do earlier in the year. So.
Yes, 100%.
All right, moving on to the next one. We got Dolphins at Patriots. We both picked Patriots. Thankfully, we did. It was still a close game. Ended up 23-21. Patriots ended up just barely squeaking by the Dolphins. It was a close game. I think we both expected it to be a close game, but because of the Dolphins' recent issues, along with the fact that Tua didn't play, the Patriots did just enough to win, which is kind of what we thought.
And Teddy Ballgame is injured now.
Again.
So
I saw that guy can't get any luck.
Skylar Thompson. Yeah.
Skylar Thompson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. So, but I think we both expected the Patriots to win just because of the fact that if they don't have Tua, they just don't have enough to go.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We got Colts at Giants. We both picked Giants. It was another stomping, 38-10 by the Giants.
Fantastic. Giants clinched a playoff spot with that. They are
needed
going to
that
the
win
playoffs
big.
for the first time in several years, so good job on that bully.
Yep. Good job on them. They're still not going to make it too far. But because of this win, I've heard rumors that they're trying to sign Daniel Jones, and that's... Man, if you're a Giants fan, that hurts to hear. I'm sorry to tell you, that hurts to hear.
Well, we'll talk about him. I literally do have a thing for him.
Oh, man, if you're going to tell me he's not as bad as people say he is, you're out of your damn mind.
No. For this week, he gets an award.
Oh, don't give him a game ball. Are you serious, Daniel Jones?
Absolutely. I'll tell you why, too.
Fuck off.
I'll tell you why when we get there. I'll tell you why. I have a reason.
Fuck right off. Jesus. All right. Saints at Eagles. We both picked the Eagles. We were both sadly wrong with the Saints
20-10.
That game, I watched enough of it to see that it was an absolute shit show all over the field. The Eagles had moments that were good. The Saints had moments that were good. They both were terrible, though.
I think the Saints' defense looks a lot better. They've got Marshawn Lattimore back, and I think that is making a difference.
Yeah.
He actually did have that pick six that kind of sealed it away for the Saints.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but without Jalen, that team looks just
the Eagles just
lost.
doesn't. Yeah, they're anemic almost. They're just can't work
at this point. All of a sudden, yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
He doesn't like you shit talking his fellow birds.
No, he's just being a little righteous asshole. But that's he goes through those moments. All right, let's move on to the next one. We got Panthers at Bucks. We both picked Panthers. We were both sorely wrong. Buccaneers winning 30-24.
The Panthers
However, I will
gifted
say
him that
this.
game.
the Panthers gifted in that game. The Panthers had, I think, 2 opportunities to bring
Salt
back
that
that
away,
game,
yeah.
and they just couldn't do it.
Let's also not leave Mike Evans out of that discussion.
No, Mike
That dude
Evans did
fucking
well,
balled
and
out.
and Tom Brady did just enough to manage his team into victory. Like
Yeah,
Tom Brady didn't look great, but he certainly didn't look bad.
yeah, no,
Um,
and Mike Evans caught almost basically everything that came his way and just took
yeah.
it to the house.
Which to be fair, that's what people expect from Mike Evans, and he hasn't been doing that
No, he
most of this
hasn't
year.
this season. He's been
So
surprisingly quiet, and then this game he came and balled
last year
out.
too, like for the last 2 years, he's been far quieter than people expected. But
Yeah,
now
he's
showing up
normally a
again.
lot better, so it was kind of
Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Um,
A lot of people said that he got bad when Tom Brady showed up, which, to be fair, that's kind of what looked like happened. But
a little bit, yeah.
this
But
this game proves that he can still do it.
it's because Tom doesn't have the arm that somebody like like I'm not going to defend Jameis. Jameis threw a shit ton of interceptions.
Oh yeah,
But Jameis had a cannon attached to his arm. He could fling the ball down there, and that's what Mike really likes to go do.
yeah. Mike's a deep ball
Tom
guy.
is a dink and dunker. That's not playing into Mike's skill set.
No.
No.
All right. Next one we got Browns at Commanders. We both picked Commanders in hopes that they would beat up the Browns. Unfortunately, the Brownies come away with a win at 24-10.
Yep, and I got some takes. I got some hot takes on this game later on.
I think I'm just gonna be outright and say it. I don't even care. This could be a take that I could have done later, but I'm just gonna say it. Washington wins that game if Tyler Heineke is the fucking QB.
Yeah, I see. I agree with you, and that's going to be
Carson Wentz looked like dog shit. I don't know why the fuck they thought that was a good idea.
I'm going to throw it out now. We're going to do the segment later, and I'll say it again then. Carson Wentz, hit the goddamn showers.
Dude, he should be done. Like
he shouldn't be playing football. He's done.
His Colts games were bad towards the end. All of his time at Washington has been terrible.
He had one halfway decent season in Philly that got finished by Nick Foles and then won a Super Bowl off of a ridiculous trick play, and he's built his career and reputation off of that one season. That's done. You're done. Stop riding it.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, I got more to say about that later, but
me too.
It's gonna be what I had to say. More is gonna be pointed at Washington, but we'll see.
Mine is pointed at the head coach of Washington.
Mine's all of Washington, but yeah, it's Ron Rivera, man. That you're a smart coach, but that was a bad decision.
That was horrible.
Next one we got 49ers at Raiders. We picked the 49ers. The 49ers did win, but it was a 37-34 slugfest.
I got a hot take about that one too.
I'll say this. Listen, I don't think Carr is a bad QB, and I think Carr is still a very, very good QB. I think if Carr plays this game, I think we hit a very similar stat line, to be completely honest with you. I know people aren't going to disagree with me. I think that they would be. It might not have been as close, but I think it would have been very similar. But I think this also proves that Jarrett Stidham is, at least for one game, looked like a potential star.
Yeah,
granted,
no, absolutely.
With how long he's been in the league for, this could easily have just been his best game ever, and who knows? But I think he's, because I mean he's been the backup at the Patriots for a long time, and he's played there a couple of times, I think, if I remember right. He went with Josh McDaniels to the Raiders, if I recall.
I think
think that's when that happened. He followed Josh McDaniels there.
I think so.
Listen, he's not. When he played games for the Patriots, he never looked lights out. This was easily his best game that I think I've seen him play. Does this mean he's the next star? I don't think so. I think this is just a backup QB having a great game. I don't think he's a starter yet, unless he does this again and proves that he can continue this form. I don't see it, but hey. Everybody gets a good game once in a while. This was definitely one of the best.
I agree. And I was going to say that he was drafted in 2019. He did play with McDaniels on the Patriots, and then he was traded to the Raiders and followed McDaniel. And I think McDaniel was the guy that actually believes in Stidham, and I think that's his guy.
Yeah. I think so too. I just don't know if he's actually a starter yet, but this is definitely a good first big showing that he's had.
100%. I can't agree with that sentiment more.
Yeah. So let's go
I think there's potential there.
I I think there's potential there, but we'll see if he can continue that form or if this was just one of those cases of defense.
I had one good game.
I had a good game. It was, a defense that obviously couldn't watch film on the QB since they hadn't seen him really play much. So
Exactly. There's not a lot of film, so there's not a
who knows
playbook on
how
it.
much that's affected that either. So we don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways, let's move on to the next game. We okay. Jets at Seahawks. We both picked the Jets, expecting the Jets to play pretty well. Unfortunately, the Seahawks did end up winning 23-6. The Jets defense actually did well for a while, but unfortunately the Jets offense was completely missing
Shut down
the
by
entire
the
game.
Seahawks. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Worst game Mike White's played since he's been the starter. I don't know if
Mhm.
those ribs are still bothering him.
Might be.
And
Might have
that
been just,
might be
Seahawks defense has always just been good
and the
too. So to
Seahawks
be fair,
defense is phenomenal this year. But I do have to say this game, again, will feature later on for me. I think you guys will have some fun with it.
I guess we'll see. I don't have much else to say about it. You got anything to add onto that, or?
It ended the Jets' playoff run.
It did, unfortunately. For the
There you
Jets,
go.
yeah.
Bye-bye, Jets.
All right. Next game we have was the Vikings versus the Packers. Unfortunately, there's a traitor amongst us who ended up picking the Packers and winning. Unfortunately, 41-17
and what does it say
for the
by
Packers. Oh, I know it hurts you. It hurts me more.
No, and even by after I said win on there,
Yeah,
I was like,
I know.
Joe, I really wish I
am
didn't.
sad.
I'm sad.
I am sad. Here's the thing. So it's clear. I'll say this: it's very clear that we did not play up to our full potential. It's very clear that we had a bad day. But I will say this at the same time: the Packers played well. They played as good as they needed to. Granted, their offense looked like shit the first half. Their offense did nothing pretty much the first half. So it was definitely a game the Vikings had opportunities in. However, I will say this too, and it's something I will get to. The refs in the second half of this season have been atrocious.
Yeah.
And this is another one of those games that has been absolutely atrocious. And I will get to it in more detail, and people are probably going to disagree with me, but fuck you. I don't care. Especially anybody who's a Packers fan. If you watch that game with an objective mind and with completely without any type of bias, you would have to say that what happened was atrocious.
I firmly don't disagree at all. I agree with you. I didn't get to watch it. I was busy on that Sunday. Sadly, I had a D&D game that was being run, so I did not watch the game. I did get to watch the aftermath, and I know where you're coming from, and I see it, and I can't disagree. I want to. For a little while there, until I saw the highlights, I actually was going to give a game ball to the Packers defense for talking shit and backing it up. And then I watched that game, and I went, "You didn't back it up. The refs just never called anything on you fuckers."
Yeah, pretty much. And I'll say this too. Even if the refs had played better, or I guess if the refs had actually called things properly and actually were playing
the way we played, we probably still wouldn't have won.
I don't think we would have won because we still played like trash.
It would have been. It would have been a lot closer. It wouldn't have been a 41-17 destruction.
No, it would have been probably like a maybe low 30s, high 20s.
Yeah, like 38-24 or some crap.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing I am going to say, because I read it somewhere on a sports memery or a sports thing on Facebook, and I agree 100%, and I want to get your take on it. The way the Viking season is gone, they're either going to win the Super Bowl outright, or they're going to lose in the playoffs by like 40 points.
Pretty much. Here's the thing: is what I will also say is that a lot of those, I don't know. It's so obvious. I see it coming every time. The minute we lost, I knew that those articles are being, "Oh my god, this proves the Vikings are a bunch of fucking fakers."
Yeah, no, and I hate that. That is not
every time they lose.
Not the case whatsoever. They did take a massive hit in my power rankings this week. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
there's a reason why though.
They had a bad game. Don't get me wrong. They had a bad game. No one's going to dispute that. However,
However, you're
You
also
compare
missing.
you
Your
compare the way that the Vikings get treated to the way the Bills get treated. When the Bills lose some games, they just go, "Oh, you were in the game and you just had some unluckiness go against you, right?" So, or even when they had like bad games that they lost, it's like, well,
same with the
it
Niners
happens.
though, and everything else, and the Cowboys when they lose. Oh well, they just had some stuff that didn't go their way, and blah 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 blah.
No,
No,
but we're
stop it.
fakers.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we're the team that's fake. Okay,
we're the worst 12-4 team ever, or whatever it is.
God, it's so stupid. There are obvious problems, and I was going to get to it, but I'll just real quick. We are missing our starting right tackle. We are missing our who's probably one of the best right tackles in football, for Christ's sakes, and
We
Brian
missed
O'Neill.
our center, bro.
We are missing our center, and then our backup center went out in the first quarter with a fracture of his lower leg. Okay, we don't even have a backup center anymore. Most teams don't carry more than 2 centers.
Yeah, exactly.
We only had 2, so we're having to put another offensive lineman in there to play center, and we don't know if Bradbury's going to be back because of his back. So we still have no clue. We have no idea if O'Neill is going to be back. Look, you try playing behind a line that doesn't exist. See how long you last.
Well, I mean, we had a line until it got imploded over the last couple of weeks.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, I think the next. The fuck, dude! Knock it off. What's your problem?
I'm so angry.
Dude, he really is all the time. I think that I think next week's game is not going to really matter that much, to be honest with you. Ultimately, like win loss, what are you going to do, right? I think what's going to be more important is looking to the future of, okay, the playoffs. Are we going to have our line back for playoffs? I don't think next week's game is going to really matter as much like as far as playoffs are concerned, right? Next week's game does not matter for us. It's gonna be can by the time playoffs come around, are our guys gonna be back and ready to go?
It matters and it doesn't. It matters in a context of because as far as I'm given to understand, if Philadelphia manages to lose this upcoming week and Dallas wins, Dallas takes the East.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm given to understand, that would put the seedings more like if we win and 49ers win, it would be 49ers 1, we'd be 2 instead of 3, and then Dallas would be 3.
No, the Eagles would still be above us.
No, they can't be. The top 4 seeds are always the division winners. If the Eagles lose the division, the highest they can be is 5th.
That's true. I guess that's true, yeah.
They'd have to be a wild card team.
I mean, the odds are
pretty low, and it depends on what the Eagles want to do. I assume they're going to start Hurts, and they're going to win.
Probably.
I would assume they're gonna play for that number 1 seed. They're gonna lock down the NFC East. I don't think that's a question at all. But I've been wrong before, and if that happens, so there are implications for us winning at Chicago. But I do see that if we're up big at halftime, which is possible, I could see our starters being pulled for the second half.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens.
I could totally see it. All right.
Anyways, let's move on to the next game. We got Rams at Chargers. Both of us picked the Chargers. The Chargers win 31-10. Listen, as much as I like Baker Mayfield, I saw the Chargers moving up in the ladder, and I saw that they were playing good the last couple of weeks. It's the Chargers, man. Like, come on.
Yeah. Baker looked like ass.
He looked okay, but not enough to move the ball.
That was the thing. Like,
and let's be honest, the Chargers
had over 100 yards rushing, and Baker, they would get down the field, and then just the air would come out of the balloon.
And let's be honest, the Chargers defense, especially pass defense, is actually really good.
Oh, their defense is really good. I think it'd be even worse if Bosa were healthy. My God, that would be just disgusting.
Yeah, it would be. And then I think our final game.
Get put in the bird burrito.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, of course, we have our final game that we can actually talk about. um, is the Steelers Ravens, and I picked the Steelers.
Holy
You picked
crap!
the
Was that
Ravens. The Steelers win
I
16-13.
lose?
Uh,
Ah.
doesn't happen often, but it's nice.
No, it does not. And
Does
I
feel
was
nice.
just pointing out, I actually texted you, and I'll say it aloud here. In the time that we've gone head to head on picks, this is the first time you've actually beaten me head to head this year. Of course, we didn't start this podcast until most of the way through the season, and I'm sure there would be a lot more by now.
It's only been a couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah. But no, the Steelers won, and you know what? I was rooting for that win by the end, even though I had picked the Ravens. I watched Pickett march him down the field and Najee Harris running people over, and I was like, there's something in this team. There's something in the air now around them that makes them special, I think, at this point. And that final touchdown, he rolled out to his left. He had two defenders that had come in on the blitz. They were both trying to hang all over him, and he tossed that sucker up, and it dropped right into Najee's hands as he ran a dude over into the end zone. That was pinpoint passing for a dude that looked like he was throwing up a prayer. It wasn't a prayer. He knew exactly where that was going. I have named that kid Kenny Comeback. That kid is amazing. He's going to be
he's definitely looking good,
really good for the Steelers next year. I think they've got a good core going now.
Oh yeah.
Tomlin's got that team ready for contention next year. Even if they don't make the playoffs this year, which I hope they do, I have the scenario set up where they would be the ones to go in. And I hope they do, because I think they deserve to be in the playoffs the way they've been playing recently. Resurrected their whole season.
I can understand that for sure. I can.
So very happy they won. Very happy you beat me on that one. Very happy to see the Steelers win that. Yeah.
Steelers. I mean, I'm not saying the Steelers are going to make playoffs. I'm not saying that they're going to possibly move through the AFC division. And I'm not saying the Steelers are going to go Super Bowl. But Steelers could go to Super Bowl.
They're playing really good right now, and their defense is certainly nothing to laugh at.
Now I'll say this: if the Steelers went up,
Minkah Fitzpatrick sealing that with just absolutely picking that off. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm obviously mostly playing around. The Steelers are a decent team, but if they go up against the Bills or the Chiefs, they're going to lose. Hell, if they go up against the Jaguars, I'd say they lose. So
probably, yeah.
There's a lot of other good playoff teams in the AFC, and if the Steelers make it, they're going to be a one and done probably, unless they have just a really good game.
But it's still going to be nice after their season was on life support earlier for them to actually, oh hey, look, by the way,
this is the embodiment of what. Tomlin taking a crap team, kicking and screaming into the playoffs.
Absolutely. And we can't talk about the Monday night game because it stopped after part of the first quarter. So as we
which we already discussed that.
So go back and watch that if you don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Yep. All right, now where do you want to go? That was the end of our...
Let's do it like we did last week. Let's do our power rankings and then talk about next week's games.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Okay, that's fair. I like that.
So you go first today. I want you to tell me who your number 10 team is, sir.
So my number 10 team was a team that's been previously in my power rankings, got removed out of my power rankings, and only now finds themselves back in my rankings at number 10. It is the Detroit Lions, Motor City Lions. Are they a great team? No. Are they a competent team? Sometimes. Will they make playoffs? Possibly. But they played well, they destroyed the Bears, and they had the resurgence that we were expecting from their last week being so bad. We were hoping that wasn't going to continue, and so they just had a bad game last week. Yeah. They came back and went, no, that was just a bad game. We're okay.
No,
and they still have opportunity to take playoffs. Who knows? They're still in there. They're still technically in the running. So,
currently, I don't think anybody left my power rankings. I think more or less everybody stayed in the same spot.
Oh, okay.
Well, not stayed in the same spot, but the same teams
in the rankings. Yeah.
But they've been rearranged.
That's fair.
And I'm going to caveat before I tell you my number 10 because I know I'm going to get shit for it, and I don't care.
Fair
I'm going
enough.
to caveat it by saying that I also took into account of the power rankings this week injuries. Um, those are things I had to take into account. So I was looking at things and I was like, man, my number 10 team, the Minnesota Vikings, the injuries are decimating that line. It's imploded on them. Do I think they're going to beat the Bears? Yes. Am I worried about our playoff runs if we don't get back O'Neal and Bradbury? Absolutely. Because then we don't have a center. Um,
I'll say this. I think this is an extreme slide. A slide I expected, but I think this is a bit extreme. But I
it
know what you're
is.
coming from. And
Like if they hadn't had like if the backup center had just had a quad strain or something that was going to keep him out for the game, or a shoulder strain or something, and he's not going to be able to go back in, I probably
yeah,
would put them up a little higher. But they've lost their backup center, so now we're either going to have to see if Bradbury and his back are good to go, sign somebody, just quick here's your contract. Um,
I think what they're going to end up doing is they're going to end up basically not playing either one next week. Next week's going to be whoever they can get to play, probably one of the regular linemen.
Like I said,
And then I think playoffs is gonna they're gonna put Bradbury in playoffs. Like it's not a it's a bad back, but as long as it's not something that if it's not a broken back, or if there's not something that he can get ruled out for, if the doctors think he's good enough to play, he might just play.
Yeah, we'll have to see again, because like that's why I'm worried. And then O'Neal being out because he pulled something in his leg that's really bothering him. It was a non-contact injury. And then that defense is just full of holes right now. It isn't playing very well. I'm gonna have a take on that on that later, but I understand that this is kind of an extreme reaction to it, but I'm legitimately, despite how good our season has been, I'm legitimately worried because the book is out. Triple team JJ, and that Kirk's got nothing. They couldn't find Hawkinson. They couldn't find anybody else that blitzed the crap out of him because our line has been decimated. We couldn't get the running game going. It was
so. I'm going to disagree, and here's why. It's simply as fact as you're saying that they couldn't find TJ, they couldn't find Thielen, they couldn't do all this. That's actually incorrect. In the second half, they did actually make adjustments, and they started playing better.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to say is that they hadn't had to make those kind of adjustments early on before. Now they know that there's a game plan around possibly doing this, and now they're going to have a way to counter it.
Maybe.
I
hope
I
you're
think
right,
we're being too extreme.
I might be being too extreme, but at this point, I'm really worried. So down to 10.
I mean, I'm a little worried too. They definitely dropped in my power rankings, but not that significantly.
They slid all the way down in mine, just because. And I didn't know. The Monday night thing kind of made me redo my power rankings suddenly as well. So
I didn't really change too much based upon that. I just kind of took in the factor of those two teams weren't going to shift around too much in my power rankings. So
they were in mine, or they were originally going to, potentially, depending on who won or lost. Just because of
maybe, but it wouldn't
just
have been
because of other results
change
that had happened. Anyway, so your number 9 team, sir.
My number 9 team is a team that's not been on my power rankings, and I don't think they've been on your power rankings that I'm aware of. My number 9 team is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
It's controversial, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
But frankly, the last couple of weeks they have been looking good. They have gotten better. They have continued to improve, and they have a shot at making playoffs, and a real shot at making playoffs, in fact. So I think that with the continued improvement of that team, that as long as they continue to take that improvement into the playoffs, they'll look decent. And that's the only reason they're placed at 9. I thought about, I was trying to decide if I keep one of the two 8-8 teams on there, if I only put both of them on there, which order do I put them in. I discussed these a lot in my mind, but ultimately I placed them both on there because, the Panthers got completely removed off mine because they just got knocked out of the
Exactly.
running, and the same thing to the Jets. So I
Yep.
replaced them with two other teams that had potential chances.
Yep, I
So
totally understand. So if that's I don't disagree with you. It is a surprising pick. I initially, before I realized I had too many teams, I initially had the Buccaneers on my list because they did win the NFC South, and they did make the playoffs. So I felt that
I still have no faith in them. That's why they're not even on my list.
I don't really think so. But at the same time, meh, okay. Hey, you did something we didn't think you were capable of doing anymore.
I'll say this. There is I'm just gonna say there's an honorable mention because I think I should have put them on my list, and it's too late now. The Giants I probably should have put on my list. They're not on my list.
The Giants too. The Giants were
not
on my list. They're not on mine.
If I had thought about it,
in fact, I thought about replacing my number 9 team.
If I thought about it, I probably would have replaced the Lions with the Giants, but I didn't, and that's just the way it panned out.
And
sorry,
I thought
Giants
about
fans.
replacing my number 9 team here with the Giants, because at number 9, I have the Baltimore Ravens.
They're not on my list anymore
They have
either.
slid back down.
Yep.
And the only reason that they're still on my list is because I have questions. Do the Steelers win the game that they played if Lamar starts? At the end of the game, all things being equal and everything that's just happened, does Lamar find a way to not throw that pass to have Fitzpatrick pick it off? Does Lamar find a way to rush it around and do something unusual and save the game and play Superman? Maybe.
Maybe. But it would be a tough ask.
It is,
against that
but
defense,
at the same time,
hard.
it's Lamar, and Lamar has done weirder shit than that. So
yeah, but even this season, Lamar hasn't really looked Lamar when he has played.
No, I think he's upset and pissed, but that's a whole nother story.
So I don't think makes that big of a difference.
I think him not playing right now is only increasing his value to the Ravens, and it's showing. That's another discussion.
Oh man, can you imagine a world where Lamar goes to Minnesota?
Never gonna happen. We're not gonna have the money.
No. But it'd be amazing.
I don't know, man. He needs the right system to work in.
But if there's anyone who could do it, a young coach like O'Connell could definitely make it work.
No, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. All right.
Be dangerous, be kind of fun, but I don't
the
think it's
Ravens
gonna happen.
are my number 9 team. They are going to obviously make the playoffs. I don't think they're gonna win the North. I think the Bengals have got that pretty well locked down. And depending, because they were leading 7-3, we'd have to have seen how that game played out. But with the Ravens' loss, the next week they would need to beat the Bengals this week, and I don't see that happening. They're still going to make the playoffs. They're not going to win the North. But I don't know if Lamar comes back to the playoffs. Maybe they're not a one and done. If he doesn't, I think they're a one and done team. Sadly, but yeah. So that's my number 9. All right, your number 8, sir.
My number 8 is the Minnesota Vikings. They did drop on my list. I mean, I think I had them at. Did I have them at 5 or 6 last week? I think, if I remember right. I think it was 6. So they did drop down. The injuries are a concern. The game they did play was kind of bad. I do have some concerns. I think missing the center for 1 week isn't a big deal. If it ends up being he's out for the playoffs, that's a major concern. Because now you're just kind of crossing your fingers and praying that things work out. Because there's no way you sign somebody for that short of a time. It's just not going to happen.
No, I don't think so. But
that'd be any good anyways.
Drastic times and all that jazz.
So I think they're obviously making playoffs. Now, what seeding they go into, I don't think matters. I think whoever they play is going to be tough either way. I don't think they're a one and done. I think they have a good chance at winning their first game, but beyond that, it's going to be real tough. We'll see how things go.
Okay. I don't disagree. So
who do you got at 8?
My number 8 comes from the city of Angels. I'm gonna throw the Chargers out there.
Chargers, okay.
Chargers are at 8, and it's simply because, like, we're getting to the part of the list now where, like, all right, how do I arrange these teams? How do they fit in here? Where do they go? Because all of them are legitimately good teams.
Yeah.
They legitimately have shots at moving forward in the playoffs. They legitimately look dangerous. So please don't think that this is a slight against the Chargers being number 8. They are still a great team, and they could potentially beat other teams. And just they look really good. It's just out of all of the teams that are above them, these are the ones. Herbert takes the chances that make me cringe sometimes. He's a great quarterback, but sometimes he's a gunslinger. He throws the ball when he shouldn't. He tries to fit it into places he can't. So that's my feeling on that. Their defense is pretty good. I think they have the potential to go far. I don't think they're making the Super Bowl, but I think they're on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah, I would tend to agree for the most part. To be honest, so close that Chargers are actually my 7. So
for all the things I just said.
Pretty much all the same reasons. Like, the Chargers are a good team. They're very solid. They probably will move up my rankings, but at the moment, they're good on both sides of the ball, but they're not great at either one.
I
So
completely agree.
Yeah. So I think there's a chance that they move past game 1 of playoffs, but beyond that, depending on who they play, they might not go very far. Hard to say.
I believe. All right, so my number 17 then, I believe, did move up at least one spot from last week. The boys from Duval. I got the Jags at 7, and again, it's not a slight against them or thinking that they're a bad team. They're really good. It's just I couldn't justify putting them higher. Now, had the Monday night game completed, one of those two teams, whoever lost, might have dropped down to this spot and pushed the Jags up to 6, which would be logical and fair. But being that game never completed, I have to go by it's a tie. That's kind of the way I took that. So the Jags are at 7. I think they have potential to be 6 or maybe even 5. But currently, that's just not the way things are working out. But the boys from Duval look really good. You're probably going to tell me it's a little disrespectful, and I don't disagree with you. It's just I couldn't justify dropping the other two teams simply because of a tragic accident on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little disrespectful, but at the same time, you look at the quality of the win that they had. Yeah, they stomped the Texans, but it was the Texans. So,
and that's kind of.
But to me, the way I'm looking at it is that they're doing what a good team is supposed to do, which is stomp anyone who's definitely worse than you and contend with the ones that are above you or close to you.
I agree with you, actually.
So,
all right,
that's why I'm saying it's a little disrespectful, but at the same time, it's not like really egregious. Like, it's
totally
not like, oh my god,
where I'm coming from. So who's your number 6?
My number 6. Some people might say it's a little disrespectful, but I think that they're pretty close in this range. Is going to be the Dallas Cowboys. They're not my number 6. They do have a 12-4 record. You could argue that they should be at a 5 or a 4, but I'm coming back again to what I said last week, which is I just have an issue with their inconsistencies. I mean, yeah, they won against the Titans 27-13. Should the Titans have gotten 13 points, though? Probably not, actually. For a Cowboys team that's stacked on paper, they're not often enough hitting that ceiling. And that's why they're at a 6 for me.
No, I can understand where you're coming from. So my 6 is really more of a 5B because 5A and 5B are kind of on the same thing. So my 6 is actually the Eagles.
Really?
Oh, dude, you lose 20-10 to the Saints. Look, again, I know it's Gardner Minshew. I know it's the backup QB, but you let the Saints hang 20 on you. You couldn't put up any offense without Hurts. You couldn't get a running game going. You couldn't stop the Saints. The game looked sloppy as crap. You played like trash.
You're
So
right.
you're my 5B. Sorry, it is what it is. I still think that once Hurts comes back and turbocharges that offense again, I think you're going to jump right back up the standings. I don't think there's any question about it. But without
No.
Hurts, and if for some odd godforsaken reason he doesn't or isn't able to play against the Giants this weekend, I question whether or not you can beat them. I question whether or not you
Yeah.
win the NFC East.
Well, here's the thing. I don't entirely disagree with you because they're my number 5 team. So again, the Eagles they're probably going to be above a 5. They're probably going to end up moving up once Hurts starts playing again. But it is as simple as you've now had 2 weeks in a row where the offense has looked a little worse. Minshew has done okay, but strangely, in a weird way, your defense has looked significantly worse without Hurts. I don't know how that's fucking possible, but they somehow just don't play with. It's like I don't know if he just has some type of
Magic
aura
effect.
that he brings. Yeah, maybe he just has maybe he's just a really good leader and people love him. And when he's not there, they don't get that same oomph that he brings. I don't know, but the defense definitely has looked worse without him on the field. So it's weird.
No, you're 100% right. I'm trying to figure out who you left off now.
What do you mean?
You haven't mentioned
Oh,
you haven't mentioned the boys from Duval yet, and you haven't mentioned the boys from Cincy yet. And I know the Chiefs and the Bills and the Niners have to be on your rankings, so I'm trying to figure out if you just up or if you drop Cincinnati off for some godforsaken reason.
I got my reasons.
It's a godforsaken one. They didn't get to finish that game. You had them winning that, or yeah, you had them winning that game. Did you?
I
Or
did.
was it me?
I did.
Okay, no,
I
yeah,
did.
I had the Bills winning that game. Like if they win that game, they're the AFC North champions for Christ's sakes.
Yep.
And if they win convincingly, I don't know how you would leave them off, but that's just me. I don't know how you put the Steelers on there instead of them. I kind of do. You're weird. That's controversial. I'm going to say right now that I disagree with that entirely. But you and I are still thinking along the same lines a little bit because my number 5 team, 5A, is the Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
So we just flipped the Eagles and the Cowboys, but it's for all the reasons you said. Look, when they're good, they're good. When they're not, they're not. Did I just proc something in your head? Did you make an oopsie?
You know, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I completely forgot about the 49ers entirely.
Wow.
Completely, entirely forgot about the 49ers. So here's what I'll do. To make it fair. What I'm,
Oopsies.
I was already debating if I was gonna have the Lions or Steelers on my list. So what I'm gonna do is just remove one of them and move things just slightly around.
That's perfectly acceptable.
So
Look, we understand here. These aren't official. It's not like they're getting published or anything.
No, I don't know how I somehow missed the 49ers. Can I start from going from the bottom up? I don't know how
I always do the same thing. But it's like. That's when I was like doing it. I was like, oh, I should put the Buccaneers on there because they won, and I want to put the. Oh crap! I'm not gonna have enough room.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna remove the Steelers off and just move everything down one.
Got
it all down one.
So no, that makes sense. Slide it down one.
Yeah,
no,
everything
totally
gets
acceptable now. So you still have the No,
so my 5. I still have a 5.
You still have a 5. So
yeah.
you're 4 now. You're 5.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta redo this in my head now. So I got the Lions at 10. 9 was who is the 9? So we got Lions. Then I think 9 I did would have been my 8, which would have been the shoot, who was that? Who was 9 again? So I'm trying to remember everything in my head.
9 was the Steelers.
No, Steelers were 10. Steelers were 10, and then I had Lions. And so if I remove the Steelers, if I move everything
Okay,
down.
Lions, and then
So
you
what
had
did I have at 8?
8 was the Vikings.
Okay, so the Vikings are now at 9 apparently.
Okay.
So I got Lions. So I got Lions at 10, Vikings at 9. At 8, that means we have
The Chargers, I think.
yeah, the Chargers is at 8. 7 would be the Cowboys then, because they were at
7 is
6.
the Cowboys, 6 is the Eagles.
6 is the Eagles, because they would have been my 5.
Yep.
And so my 5 now is the Bengals.
Okay.
So the Bengals are sitting at 5. I didn't want to move them too much, simply due to the fact that we didn't get to see the game finish out.
Exactly.
And I think I had them sitting at 4 before, but I wanted to rearrange because there was a new team that went into my top 5. So I just had to kind of slot them where I wanted to and move everybody else down.
Yep. All right.
It is what it is.
So let's do your number 4 now, since you had to redo your 5.
Oh, yeah. Because your 5, what was your 5 again?
The Cowboys.
Oh, the Cowboys. So, yeah.
We originally just had our Cowboys Eagles flip, but now you've moved them down 1. So our Eagles make sense and our Cowboys are farther apart.
Yeah.
But I'm sure certain I know exactly who your 4 team is, because I'm pretty sure we flipped the Cowboys and this team.
My number 4 team is the Bills.
Really? You put the Jags way up high.
Maybe.
Please don't tell me they're number 1. I will reach through the camera and slap the shit out of you. You out.
Okay, there we go.
Motherfucker. you goddamn bastard. If you did that, you're crazy as a fucking shit stick. I don't know what to do with you. But no, the Bills. I totally get that.
The Bills, they're a good team. Right now, I do have them slated above the Bengals. If the Bengals would have won, they would have been swapped, but they would be in the same spots, basically. They're very on par with each other as far as talent and ability goes, as far as I'm concerned.
No, that makes sense. So my number 4 then is the Bengals, which was your number 5. Again, it's because I didn't really want to drop them too much, so I treated the Bengals and the Bills kind of like they tied for right now. I had no idea what else I was going to do with them, with the Eagles having to drop due to what happened and everything else. I was like, I couldn't justify moving the Cowboys above the Bengals, and I couldn't justify keeping the Eagles up there, so now I had to figure out what I was going to do.
Okay, fair enough.
So the Bengals, I think they're good. I think they're good. I just don't know how great they are right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing, funnily enough, they're doing exactly what they did last year, though, which is start slow, hit hard and fast at the end, and that's kind of what they're doing.
And that's why I think they've jumped up the power rankings for me, is just because they're doing what they did last year. They started slow, and now they've taken a good long run at it, and now they're just barreling through like a fucking train.
Now I'll say this: they looked better last year at the same time, in my opinion. So I don't think they're quite as good as they were last year. I think they're going to make playoffs. I think they're going to make a good run in playoffs. Now, as far as how good are they, I'm thinking second round playoffs personally, possibly going to the championship. But they might have to beat either the Bills or the Chiefs to do it, and that would be really tough.
That would be really
they
tough.
did it last year. They did it last year, but
I don't know.
Can they do it 2 years in a row?
No, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right. So your number 3 team then,
sir. My number 3 team, as my camera goes slightly out of focus for no fucking reason. So my number 3 team is the Kansas City Chiefs.
You're losing your fucking mind. I swear to God, you crazy bastard.
They're a great team. They have some issues here and there on occasion. They have definitely, I mean, let's be honest. They should have stomped the shit out of the Broncos, and they didn't. They did not look as good as they should have against the Broncos. Granted, was that because they played worse? Was that because they played worse on purpose? Was it because they weren't trying as hard? Don't know. Still should have been a better stomp than it was. And so they get dinged, and they're in 3rd place now.
That I get. My initial thought was if the Bills had actually beat the Bengals, they were probably going to be number 1 on my list, just because I was not impressed with the quality of wins of either the Chiefs or the other team. Unfortunately, where I have to treat the Bills like they tied, the Bills are number 3 for me. I couldn't. They were number one. They were going to be number one if they'd won, which I was assuming was going to happen. We didn't get to see the conclusion of that game for aforementioned reasons.
We will eventually. It just won't
I'm
be
sure we
for a
will
little bit.
eventually, but it can't factor into my rankings now.
No,
So I
exactly.
was not impressed with the quality of win of either the Niners or the Chiefs, which are the other teams that are in my top three. But I had to figure out how I was going to rearrange them based on what I saw and based on everything else. So number 3 goes to the Bills. I think they're a great team. I think they still have flaws. I worry about that defense. I worry about Damar Hamlin now, obviously, as we've already said, we've already talked about.
Yeah.
I worry about their pass rush and everything else. They've got all kinds of issues along the lines. Things were not going well. We'll have to see how all of that breaks down. I don't think the Bills' defense is as good as it was to start the season. It worries me now. That being said, I think I think them at number 3 and possibly going to back up to number 1 again, where they've been part of the season, I don't think is totally out of the realm of possibility. They've got a really solid team.
They do.
So we'll see how that all shakes out. All right, your number 2, please, sir.
So my number 2 team, who could possibly be sitting at number 2? Because whoever I pick at 2 determines my number 1 pick, right? It's gonna be pretty obvious who's number 1 based upon who my number 2 is. And so now you just have to think: am I crazy enough to put the Jags above the 49ers at number 1?
Yes, you fucking are.
Would I possibly do that? Am I crazy enough to do that? Possibly, but I didn't do it this week. Jaguars are my number 2, with the 49ers being
I was
going to
say, if you had them at number 1, you're being disrespectful to every other team on that list.
However, I will say this. I do legitimately think that the Jaguars are really good. Did I need to put them at 2? No, I debated upon putting them at 3 or 4, to be fair. I'm not going to lie. But because of the fact that I couldn't really count the Cincinnati or Bills game.
The Bills-Bengals game.
I had to leave them where it was, but I thought the Jaguars were better than a 5, and I didn't want to have the Cincinnati and Bills be 4-3. So I ended up doing it the way I did.
I understand entirely where you're coming from. I still think I would have put it below the Chiefs, but I get where you're coming.
See, that I only did that because the Chiefs severely disappointed me, and the Jaguars did really good based upon what they should have done. So if the Chiefs had done what the Jaguars did, because they both faced crap teams, they should have both came away with a big stump. It would have been Chiefs Jags, but because the Chiefs did not meet that expectation, and the Jags, which are on paper a worse team, did what they were supposed to, I leveled that up above that. Okay. That was my reasoning for it. Some people might disagree with me, but I think there's some logic at least there a little bit. Now, depending on how you weigh that, that's up to you, obviously. But I think the Jags are a legitimate contender right now. They are coming out hot real fast. Trevor Lawrence is looking like a top QB. To be honest, I would not be surprised to see a 49ers Jaguars Super Bowl. Not even going to lie. I could totally see it happening.
Maybe, but
it'd be tough because the Jaguars would have to go probably through the Bills and Chiefs. But
more than likely, yes.
But impossible? People would have said that about the Bengals last year, and they did it. So
it's not impossible. Improbable.
Improbable, but I see. It's weird. I see a lot of similarities from this Jaguars team compared to the Bengals last year team. I see a lot of similarities. The only thing that they don't have is that the Jaguars don't have a clear number 1 obvious wide receiver who's so good, like Jamar Chase.
They obviously don't.
That's the only thing that they miss. And Christian Kirk is doing a good job, but
he's not as good as a Chase. Number 1. Zay Jones has been decent, but he's not a number 1. Evan Ingram is the closest thing they have to a number 1 wide receiver, and he's a tight end.
Yeah. So I'll give them that they are missing that one piece, but is that a big enough piece, and do the rest of them make up for it? Honestly, I would say yes, but that's just me.
Which worries me for when Ridley comes back from his suspension next year.
The rest of the league
should be fucking scared.
Oh, they should be scared now, let alone what's next year's going to look like. Yeah.
All right. So
and 49ers being number 1 is obvious. I mean, they're just so good, dude. They're just so good, so depth. Yeah.
So for me, the 49ers are number 2. and my Chiefs are number 1. Here's why. I'll explain this.
Disagree.
I'll explain this. The Niners are 2 because they needed overtime to win. The Chiefs won in regulation. Out of the two, because they both should have stomped their opponents. Absolutely should have.
49ers' opponent was better, though. The 49ers are... I mean, come on. You're going to tell me that the Broncos are better than who they ended up playing?
And here's the thing about the Broncos. One is it was interim head coach, different scheme, couldn't scheme for it the way that you would have normally. Also, in-division rivalry, that game is one of those like Viking Packers games. Throw the records out. Hate to say it like that. But
that's true.
But they won it in regulation. That counts more for me than the Niners having to go to overtime and then needing an interception in overtime to seal it away.
The Raiders are so much better of a team than even the Broncos. Like, the Raiders would stomp the Broncos probably right now, almost.
More than likely, but at the same time, that's the reasoning that I'm giving. Is it took the Niners to overtime to beat the Raiders.
I'm not putting that against the 49ers. I'm putting that in favor of the Raiders. I think the Raiders played way above their potential versus the 49ers.
I think they played way above their potential as well, but the point
that's the reason why I can't agree.
It still took the Niners to overtime, and it shouldn't have. There's no reason that game needs to go to overtime.
It makes more sense than the Broncos possibly almost taking it in overtime.
But they did.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
The point is they didn't.
The quality of opponent is different.
The Chiefs managed to win it in regulation, and I think the quality of that win makes more sense to me.
I think the quality of the opponents significantly changes that, in my opinion, but difference of opinion, apparently. Yeah,
it is a difference of opinion. But that's the power rankings for me.
That's fair.
I like I said, I don't...
It's not a big difference. It's just
not a
huge
difference.
We're talking a 2-spot difference, basically. Like, it's not a big difference.
Yeah,
and in the
exactly.
case of the 49ers, it's a 1-spot difference. It's like, we're arguing basically, almost damn near arguing semantics. Like,
no, you're exactly right. We're arguing essentially the same point at this point.
Yeah. We're arguing the same point, just in different favors of it differently.
Okay, next week's games. Want to do next week?
Yep, let's do next week. I got up the list here. We got Saturday games as well as Sunday games.
I actually put it on the notepad on my phone.
Oh, perfect.
I can keep track of it without having to type anything.
Fair enough. Let's start with these 2 Saturday games.
I'm also going to tell you that some of these I've already pre-typed where you're going to choose because I already know how you're going to choose based off of your previous picks. And then the ones where I don't know, I left blank for you.
All right, let's see how good you are actually predicting what I'm gonna pick.
I think I'm pretty good. We'll find out. Now we're gonna see. Now we're gonna see if I'm Nostradamus, bitch.
Yeah, for real. All right, let's start. Chiefs Raiders. I could see a whirl in the Raiders winning. However, I am gonna pick the Chiefs. It's just too big of a difference to really be like, yeah, Raiders are definitely gonna win that one. I would love to see the Raiders win. It's probably the Chiefs. Are you picking the Raiders?
No, I'm picking the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs.
Okay.
And I had you picking the Chiefs. So
yeah, I want to pick the Raiders on that, but I just don't see it.
I don't
it's
see
unlikely.
it either. The only way that's a thing that happens is if the Chiefs rest all their starters. And I looked into that and I thought about it, and then I was no, because they could still lose the number 1 seed to Buffalo.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And if they want that number 1 seed, they want to hold it. They have to win.
That's true.
Even have a shot at it.
All right, let's move on to the second Saturday game, which is Titans versus the Jaguars. Jaguars are obviously winning that game.
Guess what? I picked that one for you, too, and I also agree with you.
I mean, it's an obvious one, though. The Titans have looked anemic. They don't have their QB. They have way too many injuries. The Jaguars are looking red hot. I think most people would say that makes sense. Let's move on to the next one on my list. My next list for Sunday at noon, a bunch of noon games, actually, Vikings Bears. We're going to start there. That's the one that's on my list next.
All right,
I don't know why.
I'm taking the Vikings. I'm sure you are too.
I'm taking the Vikings.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings.
Both of us are.
All right, next Sunday, or same time slot, we got Bucks Falcons.
This one I didn't pick for you. I will tell you there is chatter that they might sit Brady because the Bucks. Here's the thing: the Bucks cannot improve their position.
Bucks can't improve their position, and the Falcons can't get playoffs.
Falcons can't get playoffs. So The Bucks
However,
can literally rest all their starters.
I'll say this: I think the Bucks are going to rest their starters. Falcons are going to win because they're going to still play Desmond Ridder to get him some experience.
Yep, I agree. So you think Falcons?
I think Falcons.
I agree with you.
Patriots at Bills. Bills. Like it's. I don't like the Patriots to start with, and I think the Bills are a way better team. There's no question on that one. I assume you did the same.
I picked the same, but I did not pick for you on that one because I wasn't sure which way you were gonna fall on that one with the whole Damar thing and everything else.
He's a good player. Is that effective?
No. The emotional.
Oh, the emotional.
I think they'll get themselves ready for it.
If anything, they actually might play harder.
And I agree.
Get the win for Damar.
That's what I was thinking as well. Win for Damar. Yeah, no.
Win for Damar. Yeah. Texans at Colts. This is a shit show all around, but I'm taking the Texans.
Ooh, I agree with you. I hadn't put you down for one because I wasn't sure which way you were going to go, but the Colts have been an absolute fucking free fall. I'm going to say right now the Texans are going to win that and get their third victory of the season and possibly fuck themselves out of the first overall pick. I don't think it's going to matter, though, because...
I think they'll still be first overall, though, because they still only have 3 wins.
The Bears also only have 3 wins.
Well, that's true, but I think because of their tie... Oh, and their tie actually makes their record better, so... that could actually happen.
That could actually happen, dude.
The Bears won't take a QB,
But the Bears won't take a quarterback. The Bears are going to look wide receiver, probably.
As far as the Texans are concerned,
Or either a wide receiver or a big defensive player or
something like that. Or they'll just try to trade down.
Or they'll trade it out,
In which case, then the Texans might have to be a little scared, but...
I don't think so.
There's so many good QBs in the draft, though. I don't think the Texans would hurt either way.
CJ Stroud, too, you could easily grab, and I don't think anybody's worried one way or the other.
No.
So.
All right, next we have Jets versus the Dolphins. I don't know if Tua is going to be back. I don't even know if they would play him even if he was. Teddy, I don't think is coming back. So I think the Dolphins are playing their third string, whatever his name is again.
Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson. Jets, I think Mike White is going to play unless they decide to sit him, but I still think their third stringer is better than the Dolphins, so I'm going Jets, just for the fun season.
I also agree, and I picked the Jets mainly because of the same problem. I don't think they have a quarterback that they trust. I worry about it. It's pretty obvious at this point. But I think the Jets beat the Dolphins and knock the Dolphins out of playoffs.
Probably. Next, we got Panthers at Saints. So, this might surprise you, but just because the Saints won doesn't mean I believe in them. I'm going Panthers over the Saints.
It does not surprise me, but this is one of our games where we're going to split. I'm going to take the Saints.
Okay.
I think with Marshawn Lattimore back, I think that defense looks vastly improved. I think that the Panthers are going to play really hard, but I think the Saints have a good shot at beating them. Saints have got nothing to play for. Panthers have got nothing to play for. But it's pride at this point. I think the Saints win that. I think it's going to be a dogfight, though.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Next game, we got Browns versus the Steelers. I'm going Steelers over the Browns.
I'm going Steelers over the Browns as well.
I think the Steelers currently have a better defense, and their offense has, as of at the moment, looked better than the Browns. Granted, I think the Browns have a higher ceiling, but currently are not even anywhere close to it. So, we'll see. Next game, we have Giants at the Eagles. Do we know if Jalen's coming back yet or no?
We don't. I would assume he is, and that's what I've made my pick off of, because they're playing for the number 1 seed, where I think you play him and then you rest him that first week. I think that's what you got to be looking at.
Giants. I'm going Giants. I
almost did. I win Eagles because I think Jalen's coming back. And
I'm just going off a gut. I'm just doing a gut pick.
I'm not saying anything bad about it.
No. I'm just letting you know that this is simply a gut pick. My mind would tell me the Eagles would be the obvious pick, but for some reason my gut's telling me to go Giants, so I'm going Giants.
I understand. I've made those picks too.
So you're going Eagles then on that one?
I'm going Eagles.
Okay. Okay, so for the next 325 window game, we got Cowboys at Commanders. I mean, it's gonna be Cowboys, unfortunately. I mean, I even if Tyler Heineke plays that game, I don't think that they're gonna beat the Cowboys.
They're not, the Cowboys are not going to rest their starters because they
No,
are playing
they're
for.
playing for a chance to get to the division.
They're
Yeah.
playing. Well, they're playing. Yeah, they're playing for a chance to win the East. If the
Mm.
Eagles lose, the Cowboys win. They win the division.
Yeah.
So that's really where it goes. The Cowboys are playing for the East. They are going to play everybody.
Yep. Next game we got Chargers Broncos. Chargers are easily winning that game. That's not even a question
I
in my
also
mind.
picked the Chargers, and I had picked you to pick the Chargers. So I continue to be correct on that. The next one is
Next
the only
game.
one I'm not sure of yet.
Next game we got Rams versus Seahawks. Full send Baker Mayfield. Rams win.
Okay, I picked correctly for you, and I disagree with you. I picked the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks.
I don't have any faith in Seahawks. Like they're just
I
so
think their
they're so
defense
weird.
is a lot better. I think after last game, I feel a lot more positive about them after I had them beating, not just beating, but just decimating the Jets.
I mean, I don't disagree, but the Seahawks are just so weird of his team. I can't get a good reading on them. So
No, I feel you. It's just I have a call this my gut thing.
fair enough. Next game we have Cardinals versus the 49ers. That's a clear 49ers victory. It's not even gonna be close.
I called that one too.
The next game we got Lions versus the Packers. Just because I'm going Lions. I can't pick the Packers. I just can't.
I also go Lions, and I really hope they win. So
Yeah.
the way that it's set up now, currently, if the Lions win that game, the way we have it set, I think the Rams have to. No, that's the AFC. Is that the AFC or they? No, they're NFC. The Rams do have to beat the Seahawks for the Lions to make it in.
Mm-hmm.
If the Rams
They do.
beat the Seahawks, the Lions make the playoffs.
Yep.
Which I think would be cool.
And then we got one more game that is actually currently labeled as to be determined. So they haven't actually placed
It's a
it yet.
flex game. They're not sure where they're going to put
It's a
it.
flex game. They don't know where they're going to put it yet. It's Ravens versus the Bengals. I'm picking Bengals. I don't even have the Ravens on my power ranking. I still have no faith in that team. They're so wishy-washy.
I'm
It's
not sure if
Bang-
Lamar's
and
going
Bang-
to be back. I agree with you, though.
And the Bengals are just looking good. So
The Bengals look good. Even with Lamar, I still pick the Bengals to win that.
Probably,
I
yeah.
agree with you 100%. 100%. Okay. Let's do playoff picture real quick.
has anything really changed from last week?
A little bit, but not much. Few things have changed.
So what's-
more in the NFC than the
What do we
AFC.
got?
Because things have firmed up more.
That's true. That's true.
So we'll just talk. We won't have to take it through the
full
brackets.
thing, yeah.
We're just going to talk what's changed and what hasn't. Starting over in the AFC, seed 1 is now the Chiefs. Seed 2 is the Bills. Seed 3 is the
Currently.
Bengals. Seed 4 is the Jags. 5 is the Chargers. 6 is the Ravens, and 7 is the Patriots. I think right now we both think that the 7th seed, the Patriots, is going to come off because on the bubble you have the Dolphins, the Steelers, and the Titans. The Titans are going to be done after this week because the Jags are going to win.
Yep.
And then out of the Dolphins and the Steelers, I think with the Dolphins having the quarterback issues they're having, they're going to lose this week. So I think the Steelers have a shot. If they win,
They do.
they're going to go into the playoffs instead of the Patriots. The Bills
Yeah.
have to beat the Patriots, which I think is going to happen. And then I think the Steelers will end up making that 7th seed, which would make the matchups. The Chiefs would get a bye. The Bills would play the Steelers. The Bengals would play the Ravens, which I think would be funny. And the Jags would play the Chargers.
Ooh,
That'd be
that'd
fun.
be fun.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
again, I think that's fun. But of course, I don't know if the Ravens hold that. I think the Ravens are pretty locked into that 6th seed at this point.
I think the odds of them moving from that is unlikely.
I think the same for the Chargers. I think it's unlikely they lose that 5 spot. The top 4 seeds are always determined by your division winners. So, like I said, I think that's interesting. There's still that number 1 seed could flip either way depending on what happens with the Bills. So that's kind of up in the air. In the NFC, the Eagles are still 1 at 13-3. If they do lose this week and the Cowboys win, that I don't know where that puts the Cowboys, but that would put, if the Niners win, that would probably put them up in first. And it could put the Vikings in second and maybe the Cowboys in third. I don't know how that would work, but that's still volatile as all crap. But currently it is the Eagles, the Niners, the Vikings, the Buccaneers who have clinched their division. Then the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Seahawks are sitting at 8-8. And then in the bubble, the Lions and Packers are both at 8-8. If the Seahawks win, they stay at number 7 in the playoffs. They will hold out there. If they lose, either the Lions or Packers will take their spot. So the matchups would be the Eagles would get a bye, the Niners would play the Seahawks, the Vikings would play the Giants, and the Bucs would play the Cowboys.
I actually think that's actually a pretty good matchup for the Vikings, though. Giants,
I do too.
Actually pretty good.
I don't disagree with you. I think that's pretty. I think that's pretty fair. Okay. That being said, do you want to do a Vikings corner now?
We could do it now. We can do it later. However you want to do it.
What else do you want to do? Because we've also got Dante's Inferno hit the showers. I've got a hockey corner.
We got hot potato.
And we've got hot potato. You want to do hot potato?
We can do hot potato if you want.
Let's do a hot potato.
All right. I'll let you go first.
All right. You want me to go first? All right.
You go first.
This one is going to be the hottest of hot potatoes. This is a spicy boy. I put some Tabasco on it.
Okay.
I put some Tabasco on it.
I like hot sauce.
Despite all the controversy around how it happened, maybe starting Jarrett Stidham was the right thing to do.
No, I disagree. I think it's purely luck that it ended up working out. At least the 1 week. We'll see how another week goes. I think there's not enough data or stats to really confirm it one way or the other yet.
Okay.
So as time progresses, maybe I'd be more willing to eat it, but at the moment, it's still a little early for me. It's just a little too hot. Like, I don't mean spicy. I just mean physically the potato is just it's burning my mouth. It hurts.
Gotcha.
Just can't. Gotta hold off for a second. So I'm trying to decide which one I go with first because I have a couple options. And I'm trying to decide which way I go first. All right. Let's go with this one. Maybe the Dolphins actually still have a QB problem?
Ooh.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Tua's the answer. Like, he's not a bad QB, but he's constantly dealing with injuries. Even before he got in the league, he was dealing with injuries all the time.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I'll eat that plain. I'm not going to fully load it. I think if Tua didn't have the injury problems, I think he is a good QB. I think he probably would be the long-term answer in Miami. I think the owner is adamant to try and make that work. He's trying to fit a square peg through a round hole. He's trying to use whatever blunt instrument hammer that he possibly can to do it. He doesn't want to admit that Herbert may have been a better pick for him than Tua, that Tua could potentially be injury prone and have issues. He's hitched his wagon to that, and he is absolutely adamant that he is not wrong. People that can't admit when they're wrong, they're the hardest people to deal with. No, I'll eat it plain. Don't like it. It's kind of nasty, but
I know.
You know what?
I'm not a big fan of it either.
Not
but at the same time, you look at it and you're like,
I can't say it's too hot. You've got a point.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear your next one.
I have a sneaking suspicion that you're going to eat this, and it's not even that hot. I think this is a pretty plain Jane potato here. Maybe the Steelers have found their future in Kenny Pickett?
Is Kenny Pickett the future of the Steelers? I don't know if I necessarily agree, but he's definitely probably their next long-term QB. So I'll eat the potato. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar like, QB or anything like that, or even like their next big thing, but he's probably their next QB for the next 3 to 4 years.
I'm going to go longer
at
than
minimum.
that.
At minimum. At minimum.
At minimum.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah, at minimum,
All right.
he's going to be the next starter for 3 to 4
All right, what
years.
you got?
Um, trying to think of ones that we haven't done as well, so I'm not crossing streams too much here. Um, um, hmm. Okay, this is gonna be slightly spicy, and
Go
some
ahead.
people might agree with me or might not disagree with me. Maybe the NFL refs have some bias issues.
I mean, okay, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to eat the potato, but I do have some caveats on that. And it's only
That's
because
fair.
I don't think you're entirely wrong, but I don't think you and I have the same potato on it, if that makes any
Okay,
sense.
fair enough.
Um, After everything with Tim Donaghy, years and years ago from the NBA, and now
Mm-hmm.
with all of a sudden gambling being a big fucking deal,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something there.
I think there's something there. I think that there's also the idea of, let's be honest, I mean, these refs, you know, just because they work with these celebrities all the time doesn't mean that they don't see them as celebrities, right?
No, you're exactly correct, and
They're
that's
famous sports people. Like, there's a reason why Aaron Rodgers knows how to manipulate the refs, or any of those. There's a
it's
reason why
the
you see those
same
people.
thing. It's the same thing in hockey. They talk about it all the
Yeah,
time. If you're a dick to the refs, there's a chance they just when something happens to you, they suddenly come down with a bout of blindness. They're worse than the WWE referees.
they are. They
Um,
are.
so no, you're right. I think, and I
So
don't
you
know
you
if
add
there's a
and you
good.
add and like you were saying, you add on to the gambling on top of that, and
I don't know that there's a good
I think
solution.
there's.
Sadly,
I don't think there is.
as long as we want the game to have the chance for human error, and as long
Yeah.
as the game has human interaction, there will be bias. You can't get rid of it.
No, I don't think so either. I think the problem that the NFL is going to have to face though is they have to make it less obvious. And I think for most of the season they've done a good job at that. This latter half of the season has been pretty egregious at times.
They did make
And
some good calls in the Sunday night game.
they
There
have.
were some
I'm not saying that.
fantastic because there was one where it looked like
Yeah.
there may have been a fumble, but then there wasn't a fumble. The guy was down by contact
No,
before the ball
they've.
came out and stuff like.
I'm
And they
not saying.
reset everything and they knew
Yeah.
what was going on, and it was
I'm
pretty
not.
obvious.
I'm not saying that they're not that they are bad at their jobs, because they're not. They know what they're doing. I'm saying that there have been moments. There are certain crews that are less experienced than the other crews. So you play into that fact that they're less experienced and they do a worse job at hiding their biases because they're less experienced. Um, if you're going to be a ref that's going to change a play, right? You don't. If let's say you bet on a game, right, as a ref, right, you're not going to make egregious, obvious bad calls. If you're a good ref, you're going to try to make it subtle, or you're going to be like, oh, there was a holding on this play, and holding you can call holding on almost any play. So it's really easy to do those kinds of penalties because, well, frankly, you can get away with it. But when you decide to turn your eyes from passer interference calls, for example, those are egregious and people can tell. I mean, look at last week's game with Washington. That was bad. That was really bad at the end. So was that in? So the real question is: was that inept? Was it an inept crew that couldn't do the job, or was there maybe a little wink, wink, nod, nod going on? Who knows?
And
Who knows?
I see where you're coming from, but no, there's a
And that's the scary part. We just don't know. We literally
no,
just don't know.
we really don't.
So yeah.
And I think it's worse the fact that anytime the head coaches or the team criticizes the refs, they get slapped with fines by the league. The league doesn't like that. It's all like hush, hush, no, no, don't talk bad about the refs. And I get some of it because there was the ref strike and everything, but come on, guys, you got to take a stand somewhere. You're letting them have too much power. They're getting away with too much shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think the only way to really deal with this is that the NFL has to really regulate the refs even more than they do, and even then you get into the problem of, well, then no one wants to ref. Well, pay him more then. I don't know. Figure it out.
Figure it out. Make it work. No, I see where you're coming from 100%. All right, so my last one, I think it's a little spicy. I don't know how spicy it is, considering everything else that's out there, but maybe Steve Wilkes has done enough to keep his head coaching job with the Panthers?
I mean, he's done a good job, compared to where they were at the beginning of the season. So, I think a lot of people actually have thought Steve Wilkes would be a good head coach. Just nobody took the shot at him. I think he's done interviews for head coaching jobs in the past, if I remember right.
I believe so, yes.
So honestly, out of all improvements, the thing is, I think you're right. You know what? I'll say it. I'll eat that potato. And it's just simply as the fact that you look at where that team was before he got a hold of him, and look at him now. It's a night and day difference. It really is. It's clearly night and day. Matt Rule was not the answer for that team.
Oh no, Matt Rule was
now
not the answer.
Now, do the Panthers think Steve Wilkes is the way to go? That's up to them to decide. But I think he's done enough to at least earn himself a consideration for the head coaching position at the bare minimum.
I think somebody should pick him up somewhere because he's looked really good. So that's my final hot potato. What do you got?
So my last hot potato. Let's see here. Do I do something so batshit insane?
Do it.
No, I don't think so. I need something that you're going to try to... I need something that's at least... If it's going to be crazy, it's got to be something that you're going to might possibly bite on.
You never know, man. I've bitten on some crazy ass shit, dude.
Yeah, that's true. I'm really trying to decide what's a good one to pick. So many good options. Should I go with a fairly tame one instead? I'll go fairly tame actually. It's not as fun as the other one, but I don't think the other one you were gonna bite on at all. Maybe Tom Brady won't retire at the end of the year.
No, I'll bite on that. That's an edible potato. I don't think he is. I don't think he'll be with the Bucs. I think he's gonna.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But I don't think he's going to retire. I think he has something to prove now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has something to prove. He had a bad season, and even if they make playoffs, it's not the way that he wanted to make playoffs for sure.
They are making playoffs, but it's not the way he wanted to. And
I think that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I think he's going to go find somewhere that he wants to be and play out his final couple of years. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going to retire yet. It sounds like he wants to go out on his terms finally, and it sounds to me like, from everything he said, the next time he retires, he's definitely out.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. My other hot potato was going to be basically Doug Peterson should be coach of the year with the way he's turned around the Jaguars, but I don't think that. I think it's too early for that.
He hasn't gotten any chatter for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's also crazy
he hasn't heard anything.
Hasn't gotten any.
Yeah, it's crazy that they haven't, but at the same time, I don't think that that's going to change, honestly.
No.
I think both coaches have done such a great job, but at the same time, I forget who's head coach. I think it's Sirianni from the Eagles, right?
Yeah, I think
it's going to be hard to beat him with, especially how the Eagles have gone, especially from last year. Okay, fair enough, I guess.
All right. No, I agree. I don't think Brady's going to retire. I think he is. Yeah. I think he's going to be going to another team, though. I don't know what team. Maybe we'll have to start a speculation list on that.
Yeah, I legitimately have no idea. Yeah.
All right, Dante's Inferno?
Sure, why not?
You ready? Dante's Inferno
Yeah,
want
I
to hit the
guess.
shower segment, and then we'll do the Vikings corner.
Sure.
Sure?
Sure.
Or sure.
Sure.
All right. You can tell this is so well produced.
We produced the shit out of this
We're
show.
so
We know
good at
exactly
this.
we know what we're gonna do before we get there. We have everything
Absolutely,
planned
this is
out.
totally not just made up on the fucking fly.
No, not at
No,
all.
not at all.
Fuck. We definitely plan all of our things out.
Jesus, we see to the pants this shit. I hope people enjoy it.
Fuck no.
Okay. You want to start or you want me to start?
I got one if you want me to go first.
Yeah, go ahead. Go first.
All right, so sitting at the furthest level away from the center, I'm calling it 10. People are telling me it's 1. I'm saying it's 10.
No, we're gonna go with 10. We're gonna go with 10,
yeah.
and we're gonna go with 1 is the hottest. That's what
it makes sense to
now.
me.
Fuck it. That's what it is from here on in. I don't give a shit what anybody else says.
Yeah, I keep hearing people be like, "No, it's not. Fuck it. I don't care."
Fuck just that. That's care. It's our circle. It's our segment. Piss off.
Pretty much. So sitting at 10. To be honest, it's one that I actually brought up in a hot potato already. It's the refs. The refs are sitting at 10. The second half of this season just hasn't been as good as the first half, and it just is. It just is what it is. Now, as to the reasoning for that, we can all speculate, as we already have. But it's just clearly not as good as it was the first half of the season, and I think fans are starting to get a little annoyed and upset for good reason.
Okay.
So there we go. That's my number 10.
Or that's your first.
That's my first at
Dante's
the 10th spot.
At 10.
Yeah.
So my first is Ron Rivera. I'm gonna throw him in the 8th circle. Sir, your seat's getting hot. I don't know why you made the decision to go back to Carson Wentz. Rich Eisen said we need a 30 for 30 on it. I don't disagree with that. I think it's bananas. And it could be as simple as what Rich said again, and I agree wholeheartedly. I can't disagree with anything that he said about it, but he said, maybe it was, you got Heineke got hurt, and then you had Wentz came in relief and looked good, so maybe you thought he had mojo back, and there you go. But obviously that decision backfired, and I don't know if Heineke is injured. I don't know if he could have played that game. But if he could have played that game and you didn't put him in, I think you've lost your mind. I think it's time for you to get out of coaching. But it's the 8th circle for you right now. I still think you have a chance to redeem yourself. I still think that the seat is starting to warm up. And I don't think anything is going to happen to you until Daniel Snyder sells the team.
If anything does happen, it won't be until
if anything happens to you, it's going to be after Snyder sells the team, and that would be because new management wants to go a different direction. So that's kind of where you're at right now, though. But I do think new management, you're playing for new management. You are literally having to play for your job. You are having to coach for your next job with the same team, which is weird. It's a bad situation to be in, but you cannot be making these kind of boneheaded decisions and allowing it to stand. Sorry, bud.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I do know where you're coming from. However, I don't think it's entirely the coach's fault. I think Carson Wentz, sir, you are sitting at a level fucking 5, my guy. You didn't do well for the Colts. You had 1 decent season for the Eagles, maybe 2 depending on who you ask, maybe 2. And the entire time you've been at Washington has been just frankly atrocious. Yeah, just straight atrocious. I mean, to be honest, putting you at 5 is being generous. Like, you shouldn't be anything more than a backup QB for the rest of your career at this point. And even then, you're not a good one.
Not a good one. No, you would be the one that everybody turns to and goes, oh, God, we're going to be fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't blame entirely the coach, and that's why I put Carson at 5.
So this one's going to get spicy because of where I put him and who it is.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm eating the spicy on this one. Ed Donatel, Vikings defensive coordinator. Sir, I'm throwing you into the 3rd circle, sir. Your seat has got to be fucking on fire at this point. Your defense has gotten progressively worse as the season's gone along. It started good, and it's just gotten progressively worse. I don't know what the fuck you think you're doing, but whatever it is, it's not coaching a defense. You've let the Colts hang fucking 33 points on you.
Again, remember that wasn't all defensive points. Most of them actually, over half of them weren't actually.
But at the same point, you allowed the fucking Cowboys to hang 40 points on you.
Not
You've
all of that was defensive problems either. I'm just saying that I don't agree. I understand getting upset about it and putting him possibly in Dante's, but I do not agree with how hard you're going in on this. But
Nah, fuck that. I've been nice to him all season long. I've been hoping he can turn it around. I've been with the bend don't break, dude. It broke. Fuck that.
I
Dude,
disagree, but okay.
I think Donatel has to examine what the fuck is going wrong because something is seriously fucking wrong.
I'm not sure I agree. He does. There is definitely some issues with it, but I don't think it's as egregious as people think it is. But yeah, difference of opinion is what it is. Let me see here. Who do I choose for my last Inferno spot? Options.
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 Mm-hmm. Too many options. I had to decide who to blame if I just do the whole coaching staff or if I just pick one person, but I'm only going to pick one person. So that's why I ultimately decided to look it up to make sure that I get the person right and that it isn't somebody I thought it was. So, Todd Bowles, my guy, you're sitting at a rank 4. You're hot as hell. You are you took the Bucs head coach, Todd Bowles. Yeah, you had such a strong team coming in. Everybody expected you to be, the big stars, and you guys looked like shit. Don't get me wrong. Some of that is definitely on Brady. But if you look at early season, there was a lot of mistakes he made. He definitely did not look good. I do not think he's a good head coach. He knows his
already
offenses.
Been a head coach with the Jets and looked like shit.
Yeah, he knows his offenses. He cannot delegate.
Defensive coordinator.
He was an offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. He was the offensive coordinator in Arizona when they had all those good offensive outbursts.
Yeah. And right now, their offensive coordinator. This is why I was trying to figure out if I should blame him too, but I'm not going to throw him under. Brian Leftwich is the offensive coordinator
Byron
right now.
Leftwich, yeah.
Byron, sorry, yeah. So, but here's the thing. I think Todd Bowles ultimately is the one to blame. He did not put together a good coordinators that don't seem to be working. I don't know if it's something with the offense is definitely not working. The defense is definitely not looking good. Something isn't working. And the only thing that really changed was Todd Bowles as being the head coach instead of Bruce Arians. And you look at everything else and you go, well, if that's the only thing that changed, and you go from a team that's winning 13 games to 8, it's hard not to go, well, the one thing that changed for personnel was a new coach. So it's hard not... Listen, is it entirely his fault again? No, it's not entirely his fault. But he's definitely on the hot seat just simply due to the fact that you had such a winning team go to such a losing team. And even if it's not entirely your fault, you are going to get scapegoated. And I'm sorry to tell you, you are being scapegoated right now. You are on the hot seat, and you aren't exactly doing a great job either. So... This thing's a piece of shit.
Yeah, nope, I totally get it. I might have to help you out with that. All right, so my last Inferno here. I'm going to go out and say that while I don't 100% disagree with why he's here, I have to acknowledge that he is. Does that make sense?
I mean, I know, but okay.
So this isn't the fact that I think he should be on the hot seat. This is me saying that he's on a hot seat, and I don't agree with it.
I mean, Todd Bowles is one of those ones where I think he is on the hot seat.
My guy.
No, I know. I'm saying I'm kind of in agreement with the way I handled Todd Bowles. Like, do I agree he's necessarily should be on the hot seat? No, but he definitely is.
Yeah. So this one is a pundit. We've already talked about it. Skip Bayless, you're at the second level, man. And it's, I don't want to put you there, and I don't want you there. I don't like you, but, man, you constantly seem to put your foot in your mouth. All the time. It's your job, but sometimes you say things that are too spicy, and you got to tone it back a little. You got to find a way to say things that ain't gonna tick people off, especially in this age of fucking internet. Things are forever. You got to really be careful with what you say. You got to be careful with what you tweet, because somebody will come at you for it decades later. But in this case, you tweeted out something that everybody misunderstood, and you pissed off your co-host, potentially. I'm sure he'll talk about it tomorrow, hopefully, if he's on. If he hasn't already tweeted about it, because I haven't been looking while we've been recording. But no, look, my guy Todd, my guy Skip, you gotta. I understand that you did it this morning by yourself. You didn't really apologize, is the sad part. I don't think you should have to. I think you explained yourself, but a lot of people would like a full-on apology. I think you could probably save yourself with that. I admire you to sticking for your guns and not doing it so far. But at the same time, my guy, you're in the second level because your seat is really hot right now, and you could get canceled. It would not surprise me. Sadly, that would be cancellation on you again, but you're no stranger to that. So, there you go, bud. Sorry, dude. Is what it is. I don't think you should be there, but I have to acknowledge that you're there. If that makes sense to you. Are you looking through to see if Shannon said anything?
What?
What?
I'm petting my bird. You can't see him, but I'm just petting
Okay,
my
I
bird.
thought you were looking down at your Twitter. So you're literally playing with a bird, just not the bird on your phone.
Yeah, no, just
Are
petting
you
my
giving
bird,
me
man.
the bird?
Nope, just pet my bird.
But yeah, no. So skip Bayless, level 2. Sorry, dude. I don't want to
feel
put you
bad
there.
for the guy. Yeah, I feel bad for Skip. Don't get me wrong. I like I said, I'm not a lover of Skip either, but I think people are overreacting to what ultimately was a harmless tweet that wasn't actually trying to imply anything about what people thought it was. So,
Yeah, no, I agree.
I feel bad for the guy, and that's the only reason I couldn't put him in my list at all, because like he doesn't
I
deserve
feel
the
bad,
hate that
but
he's
I had
getting.
to acknowledge that he was there.
We can see the way I would look at it is I can decide who goes in the Inferno, regardless of what outside people say. And
No, I agree.
I don't think,
I agree, but at the same time, I also really didn't have anybody else to put
Like,
there,
like,
so.
like I get it. I just couldn't justify it because he doesn't deserve to be there, and that's why.
Okay.
Todd Bowles. That's the whole reason why Todd Bowles. I mean, Todd Bowles I could have put at a lower level.
I feel the same thing about the Jets offensive coordinator, by the way.
I think Todd Bowles probably deserves to be in the hot seat, but not as extreme as people say. Like, he's definitely not doing a good job, but it's only been 1 year. Give the guy a second chance.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I would have said that about Nathaniel Hackett, but he's already been fired. So
There you go. All right, hit the showers.
Referees hit the fucking showers, guys. Like, you guys need to do better. Like, I know that you can give me all the excuses in the goddamn world about why the refs are the way they are. I don't care. They should have
They
done
need
better.
to do better. Exactly. My first one, I've already said, Carson Wentz. Hit the fucking showers, dude. Bye.
Yeah.
We don't need to
that's
cover
an
that
obvious
more.
one, too.
Carson Wentz, hit the showers. You're done.
I think he should be done too, but that's just me.
I don't disagree. Do you have anybody else for hit the showers?
No.
I'm going to throw one more group into the showers, and I'm going to throw the whole group in there. Fuck them. Vikings defense, hit the fucking showers.
Jeez, that's a bit fucking extreme, my guy.
No, hit the showers. You've gotten worse all season, progressively.
We're never gonna see eye to eye on this. I disagree hardcore.
No,
okay.
we're not. I like the offense is trying to do a good job, and the defense is in my opinion letting them down. But I could be completely wrong, and I hope I am. I would love to be wrong because I would love for the defense. I would love for our defense to win us a fucking Super Bowl, and for me to be wrong and have to eat it on a piece of fucking cake.
If there's been one side of the ball that has been letting down anybody over the last couple of weeks, it's been the fucking special teams. All right, motherfucker.
No, you're not wrong about that either.
They've had so many block punts. They've had so many. They've had a kick return. They had a punt return. They had a blocked a punt, and then the special teams has been atrocious the last couple of weeks.
They blocked a punt to open up the fucking Green Bay game.
That's what I'm saying. They've had blocked punts on several games. This is not the only one.
They blocked a punt, not had a blocked punt. They blocked a punt.
Oh no,
Green
yeah.
Bay. And that was a great play, and then our offense couldn't fucking punch it in from the 1
exactly,
1 yard line. What the fuck?
But But in general, when it's not us blocking punts, it's us getting our
No,
fucking
you're exactly
punts
right.
getting
There's
blocked.
a problem there
Like,
too. There's obviously a defensive problem.
I think there's a bigger problem with special teams than defense, personally. But
I don't 100% disagree. For a while, it looked like it was just Joseph, but then Joseph got it right, and the rest of special teams just fucking fell apart.
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know what's going on there.
But no,
it's got to be injuries. Like, that's the only thing I can think of.
It's got to be something. But still, defense, guys, you've got veterans. You need to fucking figure this shit out. Even if your defensive coordinator's a dumbass, you gotta fucking figure shit out. We have defense with Patrick Peterson, Danielle Hunter, and Za'Darius should not be this shit. And Harrison Smith. You guys have enough good veterans in enough key places that this should be better.
Like I said, I don't think they're as bad as people think they are, but, it's what it is.
Is what it is.
If those 17-point early game special teams fuck-ups weren't on the list for the Packers, this wouldn't look as bad, and you probably wouldn't be saying what you are now. That's what I'm saying.
All right, so that leads us quite well into Vikings corner.
Okay.
Vikings lose this week in Lambeau.
They do.
To the Packers.
Fuck the refs, though.
You've been on about that. I think you wanted to discuss something, and this is as good a place as any. And it's not just the refs as a whole. You specifically wanted to discuss the refs at Lambeau.
The refs at Lambeau have always been atrociously bad. They just have been. Like, think of any team that goes and plays at Lambeau. The fans suck just because they're good at what they do. Like, they're not like typically super rude fans, but they can be. But no, it's not just that. The refs,
They're not Eagles fans.
No, they're not Eagle fans, exactly. No, they're still bad, but they're not terrible, right? No, but the refs have always been bad at Lambeau. And this week was just another one of those super obvious ones. I mean, for goodness sakes, they didn't call any pass interference on Justin Jefferson until 3 people had to knock him out of the fucking air. It took 3 people tackling him mid-air for them to even throw a flag on passer interference. I'm sorry, Jair Alexander, my guy. You aren't good. You just hung on to JJ like you were a fucking coat the entire goddamn game, and the refs just let you get away with it. The refs just turned a blind fucking eye. They did not care. And it only took 3 people tackling the one person to actually get any calls. It's absolutely egregious, and it's happened several times, and it happens every year to anybody that plays at Lambeau. No team likes to play at Lambeau. Not a single one. The crew that every crew of referees that goes to Lambeau has been dog shit, or purposely dog shit. I don't care which. But it's been really bad. It's been bad for years. People have complained about it for years, and the NFL has continued to do fucking nothing about it because the Packers are such a historic goddamn team that they refuse to do anything to punish them.
See, that's where I was about to get into. I was just about to say, it's probably because the league whispers in there, remember, Lambeau is magic. The Packers can't lose at Lambeau. Fuck that.
Yeah, they can't lose to Lambeau because you had the refs fucking helping you all the goddamn time.
You know what the magic of Lambeau is? It automatically makes the refs on your side.
Yeah. The refs are wearing green and yellow when you're there.
I fucking understand that there's going to be a lot of Packers fans. Oh, butthurt Vikings fans. Fuck you. If you
it's not even just Vikings fans.
Cheese glasses for 10 seconds.
I'm telling you, no one in our division likes to play at Lambeau. Stop
looking through cheese and beer glasses. I'm
sorry.
This is why I really hope the Lions go in there and maul the fucking Packers at Lambeau.
There's not a single team, even people in the AFC that don't have to play the Packers twice a year don't like going and playing at Lambeau.
They don't. Nobody likes playing at Lambeau.
No one likes playing at Lambeau.
And I forget who it was, but there was a it was Jeff Dunham when he had Walter out. He was talking about Packer Stadium, and he said it's it's an open roof stadium, right? And he said yeah, and he said yeah. How many what did he say? How many weeks are good weather in Wisconsin in football season? None.
None. Yeah.
Build a frickin' roof.
Yeah, exactly. It just boggles my brain that they just refuse to do anything about the situation, and no one No one likes Lambeau. No one likes playing at Lambeau. No one enjoys the weather. No one enjoys. But because it's historic, they can't touch it. Well, build a new fucking stadium, you cheap fucks. Like, then leave that one alone to be a historic site, and then it can be a museum or whatever the fuck
Yeah,
you want
no,
it to be.
I don't disagree with you. Let's build a modern stadium there. Let's retire Lambeau Field. Let's make it a Packers historic museum. Put their Super Bowl trophies there.
Yeah.
Let people walk around the thing. In fact, when you decide to turn it into the museum, you could sell the chairs for money because
Oh,
people
100%.
Packers
People
people
will
are
buy that
nuts.
shit.
They'll fucking buy that shit.
100%.
They'll buy parts of the field because they're
Oh,
bananas.
yeah. 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 They would.
But it's time, dude. Yankee Stadium
It's time.
retired. They retired the old Yankee Stadium. They built a new one. Look, every historic field has its time when it's got to go. It's time for Lambeau to go. I'm sorry.
It's been time for Lambeau forever, and it's
Yeah,
just gotten to the point where I think people are tired of playing on the field. I think people are tired of playing in that blistering fucking terrible cold that happens. And honestly, the refs just suck, and maybe they'll suck at it with a new stadium too. But it's so much worse at Lambeau. I don't know why.
I firmly agree.
I don't know if it's the way things are set up there, but
can't disagree. Won't disagree.
so it's absolutely infuriating. So
yeah,
there we go.
no.
I said my piece on that.
No, and that totally Vikings quarter is a great place for shit like that. I know we normally talk about Vikings, but we could talk about shit that plagues the Vikings. We could talk about other shit around the NFC North, and I love that it's kind of a free form thing for us.
Yeah.
You and I have already disagreed about the defense and the special teams and everything else. I do want to say again that I'm really worried about our offensive line implosion.
I do agree with.
There are some problems there, and again, this I hate to say this, but this brings up the same thing that has been going on for a while, which is every time JJ has a shitty game, we lose.
I agree. I did see that there was a.
Is he trying to peck your dick?
No, he was just biting my arm. What I was gonna say is, I saw an article that was talking about how we need a true number two. I hate to inform you, we do actually have other number two receivers. Thielen is obviously a good number two. TJ Hawkinson's a good number. Is a good.
Osborne.
KJ Osborne's great. We don't have a problem with receiving core. We have a problem with our play calling not adjusting quick enough to when JJ's getting shut down.
Exactly.
So if Kevin can recognize when that's happening sooner and make the adjustment sooner, or at least get Kirk to make the adjustment sooner, whichever one it is, I don't know which one it is, but whatever needs to adjust gets adjusted quicker, I think we'll be fine. They've seen it happen a couple times now. I have to imagine that they have thought about fixing this, and they have to have at least discussed it at bare minimum. So
yeah,
and honestly, that's one of the reasons TJ had that one big game, not last week but the week before that, is because JJ was getting constantly shut down, and so they were able to target TJ more. Why they couldn't do it last week, I don't know. Maybe there was something. Maybe it was as simple as the refs weren't calling anything and no one was ever open because everyone was constantly getting interfered with. I don't know. It didn't look like it was that bad all the time, but it was definitely bad at several moments. But it just felt like they weren't adjusting quick enough to what was going on.
Okay, no, I agree. That actually is a good point to bring up. I think that's something that they're going to probably have to work on off season. I think that's something that's going to come up. I definitely think it's the first season. I think he's outperformed expectations, in my opinion.
100%.
I think he's way outperformed his expectations, and I think in this offseason he'll make some adjustments.
Dude, let's be honest. He got Kirk to keep his fucking job.
Oh, absolutely.
If Kirk did a stinker this year, I think we're looking at getting a replacement QB. 100%. I think Kirk now is. Kirk's got at least another year, maybe two now.
I think he's got 2 on the contract.
Is it 2 on the contract?
Yeah, he's on the contract.
But I think the difference is that they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna move him though. I think they're gonna be more than willing.
They're gonna try to draft and develop someone.
Yeah, maybe.
This might be the year for it too.
Maybe, but I'm just saying that they're not gonna like all of a sudden cut Kirk and be like, okay, you're not obviously. We need somebody else in here now.
Yeah, no,
he's definitely kept his job for the rest of these contracts.
Yes, he's definitely got this job for the contract because it's apparent that Kirk and Kevin get along really well.
They can work together. Yeah.
You got anything else?
Uh,
Do you want to bring up
no,
in Vikings corner?
no, I don't think I have like things that I want to talk about in the future, like draft and stuff. But I think we still have a bit of time before we really need to get
Yeah,
into anything
I
like
want to
that.
do drafts like after the season ends.
Yeah.
We'll need more content
So
at that point, and I think talking about drafts and
yeah,
reviewing past drafts and stuff like that, I think will be
I've been looking at the future draft coming up. Yeah, I
yeah.
think like I kind of want to get into like what I could see us drafting, but I think we should wait until the end of the season to kind of see where things lay first.
I agree.
Um, but I am very. I'll say this much: even though Kevin was here for the draft last year, I don't think he had like both Kevin and Masa. I can't say his
Mensa,
full fucking name. Yeah, I can never say his full name. Adolfo Mensa or whatever.
Adolfo Mensa.
His name's so hard. I'm sorry, dude. Like your name's hard to say. I
I'm
think
sure he's okay
that
with that.
probably. Isn't it like Quesi Adolfo Mensa or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. uh, Here's what I'll say. Even though they were there for the draft last year, I think that it was still like not a true first draft, if that makes sense. Like they were there to help pick, but they already had the picks kind of laid out because of their like, they relied on their network guys, so to speak, to help provide them like who's potentially already on the list for drafting, like because they have their talent agents, right? Constantly looking out for people. So I think this is gonna be the real first draft that these two are gonna have together. That's actually gonna be like a legitimately like we have enough time to get together to really look at the draft to really see what we need. We've already played with the team, so we know what we have to need. So I think this is gonna be more of an actual first draft, quote unquote. So I'm very interested to see kind of what the two will do because they've already shown that last draft that they're willing to trade up and move around a little bit. So I'm kind of curious to see what they do next this upcoming draft. So very interested in that. Outside of that, I have no more Vikings news to talk about.
All right. So that's where we'll end Vikings corner. I have a hockey corner. As I promised last week, we did end up getting up the trade dissection, so I hope everybody got to see that. I did manage to get that up. I think it's interesting. I've got another one that I'm doing. It's shorter. It'll be in the can soon. I don't know when. I'll try and get it done. But we've got some interesting. I've got an interesting one. It's really, really short, but it has major future implications. However, this week, as I promised, I wanted to talk about how to rebuild a team properly. So we're going from the west to the east. We're going to talk about a team that was an expansion, one of the original expansion teams from 1967, the Buffalo Sabers.
Wrong team.
Wrong team. Wrong sport. Buffalo Sabers.
Wrong sport.
So the Buffalo Sabers actually did have a shot at one point in time at a Stanley Cup. Everybody's going to remember the famous crease, the Brett Hull toe in the crease bullshit thing. But there's a whole thing with that. And it involved the fact that the league kind of rescinded part of that rule right before the playoffs, and nobody really talked about it. But it's a whole other thing. Sabres never really got another shot at it again. Even though they had one of the best goalies ever at that point in time with Dominik Hasek. I don't think anybody's going to question whether or not he was one of the best goalies of all time. All right, welcome back. We had a break. We're back now. Okay.
We were talking about the
hockey corner. Like I said,
yep.
I wanted to talk about how to properly rebuild a team. So we're moving from the west to the east. We're going to talk about the Buffalo Sabres. Because the Sabres have been absolute trash for quite some period of time. Absolute trash. And then they basically, several drafts ago, everybody calls it the Mick Eichel draft. Because you were either going to get Connor McDavid or Jack Eichel. The Sabres and the Oilers both sold and tried to get as bad as possible to get that number one overall pick. It's a lottery. They both wanted it. The Sabres did not win it. They got Jack Eichel. They traded away Ryan O'Reilly to the St. Louis Blues. So absolutely, like, they got good pieces for him, and one of the guys we're going to talk about came over in that trade. Then everything happened with Eichel, and they traded him away, and they got some more pieces, which are also on this list, from that trade, and there's still more stuff they can get from that. So we're going to talk about this real quickly. and how a rebuilt team should look, age-wise, cap-wise, and everything else. So we're going to start with one of the guys that came over, the sweetener in the Ryan O'Reilly deal, a guy named Tage Thompson. Now, first I have to say, Tage Thompson is an enormous human being. He's gigantic. Even for a hockey player, he's a big guy. As a forward, he's really big. He is currently 25 years old. Here's his stat lines from this season. 35 games played, 27 goals, 24 assists for 51 points. That's a bit comparable to both McDavid.
Good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah. You remember we talked about McDavid who makes like $12 million, and we talked about Draisaitl who makes like $8 million. You want to go ahead and give me a number as to what you think Tage Thompson makes?
1.5.
About 1.4 actually.
Oh, okay.
Now, what do you think his extension is worth?
It should probably be like 13, 14, but it's probably only like 4 or 5.
7.14.
Oh, okay.
7.14 until the end of 29-30.
It should be higher than that, to be honest.
It should be way higher than that, to be totally honest with you. That's a fucking steal.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, they negotiated with that after he had one good season, because up until the latter half of last season, he wasn't very good. Once they finally got rid of Jack Eichel, they actually became really good, and it's scary. They're still a couple of pieces away, but they're getting there. So next guy we have to talk about is a guy named Alex Tuch. He's 26. He actually came over last year in the Eichel trade. This season, he's played 35 games. He has 17 goals, 22 assists for 39 points. That's better than a point a game. He's doing good. In fact, you want to know who drafted him? Wild. Of course. He makes
surprised, but I'm not.
No, I'm not surprised either. He makes $4.75 million until 25-26, and he's 26 years old. Then they've got Jeff Skinner. He's played 32 games this year. They've had him for a while. 17 goals, 21 assists, 38 points. Sadly, this is where they signed him to a ridiculous deal after he had a ridiculous season, and this is probably why Tage didn't get more money, is Jeff Skinner makes $9 million a year. They kind of overpaid to keep him, and he's also 30. And he's signed till 26-27. That's the one outlier on this list. I still think he's good, and I think he's going to be a leader on the team. But, yeah. Then you're looking at D-men. They've got Rasmus Dahlin, 34 games, 10 goals, 28 assists for 38 points as a defenseman. And he makes $6 million a year until 23-24. And, he's only 22. In goal, they have old Craig Anderson, who's 41 years old, who's their starter. They have Eric Comrie, who's currently injured, and they called up Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I love that name.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Ukko-Pekka is his first name. Ukko-Pekka, and his last name is Luukkonen. Dude, if that isn't the most Norwegian thing I've heard all day, I don't know what is.
That's just a crazy fucking name in general.
He is 7-3 with an .896 save percentage. And he only makes $837,000 until 23-24, and he is 23 years old. People are going to say, $896, that's not so great. Yeah, he had 2 really bad games to start off this season, but in his last 5, he's 4-1, and he hasn't had a save percentage below 900.
Okay, fair enough.
And he helped beat the Bruins, who are the top team in the fucking league right now. Okay? Look, he's going to be good. He just had to find his bearings when he first came up. Then you look at the minors and their junior stuff that they've got, because they've still got players they've drafted that are in juniors. A lot of these guys are in juniors. Matthew Savoy, 29 games played down in the juniors, 13 goals, 24 assists, 37 points. Makes $950,000 until 24-25, and he's 19. Isaac Rosen, he's in the AHL. He's played 25 games, 3 goals, 12 assists, 15 points, $925,000 until 24-25, 19 years old. Oliver Nadeau, he's in the QMJHL, so he's juniors. Three games played, 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points, $859,000 until 24-25, 19 years old. Brandon Biro, 22 games played in the AHL, 9 goals, 19 assists, 28 points, 762,000 to 23-24. He's the kind of an oddball. He's 24 already, but I think he's going to be coming up soon. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn how you rebuild a team as compared to what I was talking about with the Canucks who aren't rebuilding, I wanted to put this out because there are, in my opinion, there are 5 types of teams. And I talked with Chris about this last night. There are 5 types of teams. There are teams that are good on purpose. I think the Buffalo Sabres are trending in that direction. The Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs and people like that, they're good on purpose. They've built a team they are expecting to be good. There are teams that are good on accident. We don't know how we're here, but we are. Congratulations. Who knows? Last year's Anaheim Ducks for a while were kind of that team. They were good on accident. Nobody knew how good they wound up missing the playoffs, but it was like, we don't know, because this year they stink. There are teams that are the middle teams. We don't know whether we're good or bad. We're just kind of here. That's where Buffalo currently is. Then you are teams that are bad on purpose. They have stripped it down. They are in a full rebuild. Arizona is one of those teams, although they're kind of treading towards good on accident because they're fun to watch. Chicago currently is one of those teams. They have stripped it all the way down. Anaheim have stripped down, and they've only got a bunch of young guns that are just starting. Trevor Zegras, oh my god, that are just starting to come up. And then you have the worst thing you can possibly be in hockey. Bad on accident. This year, the Vancouver Canucks, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they're bad on accident. The Columbus Blue Jackets went out and signed Johnny Gaudreau to a massive offseason deal, and he has not put up anything for them. It's looked like trash. And I hate to say it, the Ottawa Senators are kind of to the point. They went out and they signed why can't I think of his name? I know he played for Philadelphia forever, and he wound up down in Florida last year. He was a big trade acquisition that Florida got, and then he went up and signed in Ottawa. Enough people will know who I'm talking about. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. Anyway, they went out and they got a big name free agent, and it's not working. Something is wrong there. I don't know if it's the coaching. I don't know what the deal is. Something is wrong because they are not competing at the level they should. Not only that, but last year, a couple of years, they've had Matt Murray as a goalie. He won a Stanley Cup in Pittsburgh. Played really well, played fantastically, and then I don't know if he left via free agency or if he was traded. I think he left via free agency. Stunk in Ottawa, got traded to Toronto, and he looks like a world killer. There's something wrong in Ottawa, too. That's another team for another day. Point is, Buffalo, you've rebuilt properly. You have a young goalie. You have a great young core. I didn't mention some guys, but Payton Krebs came over in the deal with Eichel. You still have Owen Power, that dude as a D-man is going to be amazing for your team because he's a real defensive-minded stopper. Fantastic player. You've got some great young talent on that team with more coming. I feel like Buffalo is that team that in the next couple of years, be ready to hear about them being a star-studded, massively great team to watch. They took a team that has been trash for years and have rebuilt it over the last several seasons with great trades. People thought they were dumb for trading away Eichel, but it was clear that Eichel did not want to be in Buffalo, and it was clear that Buffalo was done with Eichel. He looks a lot better in Vegas. The point is, Eichel is out. In comes the new guys. In comes, now you've got the Tage Thompson era has begun, and people are like, "Oh, you're crazy! Why in the world would you sign him after only having one good season?" And he sucked until that. Now it looks like a fucking bargain, doesn't it, guys? Now it's a bargain. Piss off. So I think Buffalo's done a great job. I think that's how you rebuild a team. I think that's something that is hockey talk wise. I think that's a very important thing to talk about, and I think it's been very good.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to talk about another team next week or if I want to talk about something else. I'll figure it out. I don't know if I want to like talk about penalties or you know, because there is something that's bothering me, and it's how they do awards. And I don't know if I want to bring that up. I don't know. I got a couple of things that I'm kicking around with, so we'll see where my mind goes over the week. But that's the hockey corner for this week. If you want to look at how you rebuild a team, look at Buffalo. You can also look at what Arizona is currently doing. Both of them are how you rebuild teams.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. What else do we got left? We got some game balls.
We got game balls, and I think that's in the outro. I think that's all we got left.
Yep. All right. You want to do some game balls?
Sure, you start. You already got a couple. I know.
Oh, I got some big ones. I got some big ones. This week, my first game ball is going to go out to Geno Smith. Now, here's why. Hold on. Here's why. He hit 4,000 yards passing, earned himself a $1 million payday, and eliminated his former team from the playoffs. That had to feel fucking good. While keeping your team in position to make the playoffs. So that had to feel good. Look, I'm not doing it based on you had an outstanding game. I'm doing it based on, you know what, sir? That had to feel good. I'm going to give you a game ball on top of it. Good job.
Well, unfortunately, I dictate that game ball should be given to people who actually do well. So I'm giving my game ball to Jarrett Stidham, who actually had an outstanding game in comparison to what people were expecting from him. So, frankly, sir, you enjoy a game ball. You probably got given the actual real game ball, I imagine. Even though you didn't win, you did way better than anybody could have expected.
My second game ball, shouldn't be a surprise, Kenny Comeback. Kenny Pickett, you're going to get a game ball. That was an amazing performance by you, very gutsy. I think you played a great game. In fact, I think you're the reason your team won. Najee Harris ran the crap out of the ball, but I think in the end, putting the ball in your hands for that 2-minute drill, I think you quarterbacked that team very well. I think you led the team when they needed to be led, and I think you are the reason they won that game.
I would more or less tend to agree with that. Like, I think that he needed the help with a Najee Harris, but I think without Pickett, unless you have the right type of other QB, you're probably not. You still probably won't win that game. You have to have the right type of character to get that to work.
I agree.
So you know what? That's not a bad choice at all. Who do I want to give my second game ball to? Let's see here. You know what? My second game ball is going to go to Jared Goff. He's been playing really, really well.
No, he has.
The 41-10 against the Bears is absolutely insane. And he's definitely had one of the best resurgencies this year as far as anybody. I mean, yeah, the Lions are still only 8-8, but honestly, without Jared Goff, I don't think you're at 8-8.
No.
I mean, you have because, like, don't get me wrong, you still have good pieces. You have DeAndre Swift, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have other pieces that make that offense good. But I don't think you have nearly as much success with somebody else, unless you had unless you had Matthew Stafford, and then it's like, well, then, yeah, that's a different story. But
that's a whole different concept at that point.
Yeah, in most situations, I would argue that most other QBs would not have the success there. That's kind of working up the way that it is working for Jared Goff.
No, I agree. All right. My last game ball is one that you didn't want me to give out, and fuck you, I'll tell you why I'm giving it. It's for one game, and it is for the last game. Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. So first off, he not only tossed two TDs and no interceptions, he led the team in rushing yards because Saquon got bottled up. He had 91 yards on the ground and another 2 TDs. He accounted for 4 touchdowns for the Giants. I don't know about you, but that deserves I wasn't going to give it to him until I saw he got 4 touchdowns. That deserves a goddamn game ball.
Don't get me wrong, he has good games, but I think he's just...
I'm not saying that he's the savior of the Giants or anything. No. And I don't believe long-term he's a solution. But for that one game, and for that one game only, you get a game ball, sir.
I just don't have that much faith in him, but, that is...
I don't either, but that one game was fucking awesome. Good job. You clinched the Giants postseason for the first time in years.
That's true.
And you had 4 touchdowns to do it.
That's true. I'm not gonna disagree with you on that one either. Jeez, what else? Who do I give my last game ball to? Does anyone deserve a game ball?
There may not. You may only have 2 this week. There were some dog shit ass performances, man.
There was. I don't know. Do I give another one to Brock? Did Brock play well?
This is the first time where I don't think he played amazingly.
Okay. And they had 284 rushing yards. I mean, or passing yards. I mean, that's not bad.
No, it's not.
Did throw an interception though.
He did.
Let me see here. Who else we got? The Chargers. I mean, the Chargers played pretty well.
The Chargers did play pretty well.
Chargers did play pretty well. Let's see. What are we thinking? 239 passing yards, total of 431, 192 on the floor. Third down conversions were good, no interceptions. You know what? I don't know. Let me see here. Did Herbert play well, or was it? He had to. Yeah, fuck it. I haven't given one to Herbert this entire season. I'll give Herbert one. And this isn't just for last week. This is just in general of, over the last couple of weeks here, you've rallied your team and you've managed to get some success when people were expecting you guys to be out of it. You guys have been able to rally and get everything to go, and definitely Herbert is part of that. Without him, I don't know if you managed to do that rallying and turnaround. It takes a big arm QB and a good, strong head to really get that working. So he's done well. He's done enough to earn a game ball at some point. This wasn't like an outstanding game for him, but it was a good one. And, he's probably deserved one in the past.
We missed one.
Was there one that we missed? Well, you can do it then.
Let's throw it out. I think we missed it. How it is 10 receptions on 12 targets for 207 yards and
was that Mike Evans?
Touchdowns.
Yeah, that was Mike Evans, wasn't it?
That was Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Sir, I think that's a unanimous game ball.
Yeah.
You single-handedly helped clinch by making Tom Brady look like a monster. Who, by the way, as you said, he didn't look good. Let me point out, 34-45, 432 yards.
I said he looked good, not great.
432 yards is...
It's still very good. I just think... I'll put it this way. If you watch how he played in comparison to how he got those yards, because you got to remember, like...
Most of that went to Mike Evans, and most of that was Mike Evans. Yes, 100%. Yeah. You take Mike Evans out of that game, and he's got a pedestrian, 200.
That's all I'm saying. If stat-wise, yes, he had an actual really good game. But if you look at actually the game...
But
it was
Mike
good.
Evans, that was the Mike Evans
Mike
show.
Evans was great.
Yeah. Mike Evans was great. You deserve a unanimous game ball, sir.
Yep.
That's our special fourth for you.
Yep.
And we didn't want to leave you out because we did talk about you. But yeah, absolutely changed the complexion of the NFC South.
Yep.
Won that game for them. All right, so next week we will try to record when we can. I am recording this week, so I will be the one responsible for editing this and throwing it up on YouTube, and hopefully it gets done a little quicker because I have a little more time to fiddle with than my brother does.
Maybe. I'll say this though. So this is one thing I will say. Based upon how the rest of this week goes, I might have a lot of free time on my hands.
You are not incorrect, but I volunteered to do this one. If you have more free time.
So I'm just saying next week that means that we can probably record earlier and be able to actually have it up before the games actually start happening.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice. We'll see.
First time ever, win!
We'll see. Yay!
It can still happen this week even. Who knows?
Totally, conceivably, we could record Monday.
We could. Yeah.
Or Tuesday, because that'll be after the Monday night game.
Yep.
We'll try to record after the games are done. We'll figure out, depending on how things go, as you said, you may have a lot more free time. I have all the free time I need. So at this point, again, you have listened to yet another sports podcast. My name is Matt.
I'm Chris.
And we are the Bearded Brothers, obviously. Beard. And Bird. Let's not forget the bird. Bard is the word. Bard. Let's not forget Loki. Loki doesn't want to be forgotten. So at this point, I think we are done. We want you all to have a good time. Please remember, if you like what we do here, give us a like, give us the thumbs up, smash on that subscribe button, hit it like a linebacker hitting the fucking quarterback. And we'll see you down the road in the future, guys. Peace.
Have a good one.
Yay!
Jazz hands.